Ladies and gentlemen, it is the night you have all been waiting for. Donald Trump is set to announce he will be running for the president of the United States 2024. It'll be happening tonight. He is going to be live streaming around 9 p.m. So we will be watching and hanging out, and we will be showing to the best of our abilities whatever his speech is. Obviously, with our commentary, there's some overlap, so keep that in mind. It might get hard to hear sometimes, but we'll be watching. We'll be talking about his announcement and discussing politics as it pertains to this major announcement. Now, it is being confirmed by NBC News that a longtime Trump advisor has confirmed to them Trump will announce he is running. Some people thought maybe that wasn't the case. Everyone kind of thought, yeah, he's going to announce, and it is going to be spectacular. I have to imagine Trump is going to make this one a grand ceremony, a grand entrance. So this should be particularly fun and exciting. But in the news world, we got a couple crazy stories. Article 4 has been invoked by Poland. They are convening ambassadors from various NATO countries into Poland to talk about how to respond to what is being reported as a Russian missile strike hitting Polish territory. We don't know that's the case. Some have said that it may actually have been anti-air missiles, I believe Ukrainian, that backfired and then fell from the sky and slammed into the ground or something, but we're not entirely sure. Some said it appeared that these were a Russian strike on railways, which sounds like it may be them trying to disrupt supply lines. Again, not a lot confirmed. The next story is just, it's so much fun. And it was a story I wanted to cover earlier, but then, World War III is kicking off and I can't. Elon Musk is firing more woke employees just without regard for their feelings, just posting on Twitter. And he even invited our good friends Ligma and Johnson to Twitter HQ and took a photo with him. So I think that's particularly funny. So that'll be fun to talk about. And then, of course, around 9 p.m. Eastern time, so in about 1 hour, Donald Trump is going to start his announcement, and we'll have that playing. And so we'll check all that stuff out. Before we get started, my friends, head over to surfinginternetsafe.com and download and pick up Virtual Shield, a virtual private network service. This is a basic layer of security for you as you browse the web. So if you don't want creepy hackers, governments, or corporations spying on your data, this provides a basic layer of security for you as you browse the web. It also has the added bonus of if there's some kind of weird block on your internet that shouldn't be there, that's preventing you from watching TV shows or accessing other content, this will help you bypass those things. So check out Virtual Shield over at surfinginternetsafe.com. They've got it's 72% off a Black Friday sale. You get the full identity protection with VPN Plus included. Social security protection and real-time 24/7 alerts. It'll protect you and your entire family with up to $1 million insurance. That's amazing. Ad and malware blocking that runs continuously. You can stream your favorite TV shows and movies with premium streaming, which I think is actually really important, especially VPNs. You want to make sure you have the fastest possible option if you want to stream stuff. Priority customer support. You can hide your IP address anytime, fight censorship from your own home by accessing their global network with military-grade encryption at the touch of a button. And you get unlimited devices, browse on your phone and laptop simultaneously. Again, head over to surfinginternetsafe.com. This is the first sponsor that we've ever had, so we're big fans. We're eternally grateful for their support. Don't give money to people who hate you. Give your money to people who have been supporting the work, that people you like have been doing, and that, I'll put it this way, Virtual Shield knows who you are. They like you. That's why they sponsor this show. They really do want your business, so support good businesses. And don't forget to head over to timcast.com and click that Join Us button. Become a member to get access to our members-only show. Now, considering Donald Trump will be speaking and presenting, we don't know how long this will go. If it does go long, we likely will not have the uncensored members-only show tonight because we might end up just staying live to watch Donald Trump speak. We will see. But we are launching this new cool thing where if you are a member and you comment on members-only content, once per week, we're going to choose 5 people. We're going to hit you up and say, hey, we're going to send you something cool from the set of the show that, it's just a cool little knickknack. Like we have these balloons from when Luke was stuffing his shirt with fake gazungas. And then we've got
real bazungas.
Bazungas. And then we've got, obviously, those little post-its that Milo made. We'll be contacting people and sending those out this week. So if that's something you're into, then comment, and we look forward to it. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this, as well as some other really interesting stuff, there's a big lawsuit going on, is Daniel Miller, Would you like to introduce yourself? Good
Ta-da!
sir?
Yes, I'm Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement, and I think, as the bio tells me, as everyone does, I'm the father of the modern Texas movement. So that's a lot of pressure. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot
You
of
basically
pressure.
want Texas to become its own country?
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, if anyone's familiar with Brexit, then they will understand Texas, where Texas becomes a self-governing independent nation again.
Well, right on. That'll be interesting. Plus, you guys got this lawsuit against the federal government, I believe.
Well, we're suing Meta.
Suing Meta, sorry.
Yeah, we're suing Facebook because Facebook. We've had a long battle with Facebook regarding censorship, right? I mean, they've done anything you could imagine. They were, as far as censorship goes, they were doing to us first. And here recently, they decided that they wanted to prevent people from posting links to texitnow.org, right?
Wow.
Which is the main page that we have all of the Texit questions. And this was a new one. They said it violates community standards, says that it's against where they keep people from posting content about organizations that incite violence or whatever, which is completely the opposite of what we're about. And so what we did was we finally had our fill. Look, Facebook has been doing this to us for years. Them, Amazon, Twitter, all of them. But
They wanna control
Facebook,
the
we
narrative.
were up to here. Yeah, they want to control the narrative. And so we just said, hey, we're going after them.
So we'll get into all that. That's very interesting. So should be fun. Thanks for joining us. Of
Thanks
course,
for having
we have
me.
absolutely. We got Luke Rudkowski hanging out.
Texit. I like it. I really like it a lot.
I like that you like it.
Yeah, my name's Luke Radowski here. We are Change.org. And some of you guys are a little perturbed, but a little mad at me because I don't like your favorite politician. But you should know, I don't like any politician. I believe war is
Like
murder.
DeSantis.
No, I'm critical of DeSantis as well. I'm critical of all the politicians, which everyone should be, but I believe war is murder, taxation is theft, police are gangs, and politicians are criminals. If you're with me on that, you could support me and my efforts here by getting the shirt that says that on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And I've said many times, DeSantis, again, not a perfect candidate. No one's perfect. And there are some things that we could be critical of him on, just like we should be critical of everyone.
Hi, everyone. Ian Carlson here. Daniel, you have a book as well. I don't think we've talked about that yet, but it's actually called Texit.
It is.
And is that something some people can get somewhere?
Well, we
particular?
can get into it.
We'll talk about it near the end. We'll talk about
Yeah.
the book later in the show and then
Yeah.
aim people towards it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, man.
What's
going on,
up,
Kellen?
everybody? I'm filling in again today for Serge. I'm really excited. Let's get going.
His name is Kellen.
My name is Kellen. That's right.
All right. So
Killing
we do have the Rumble player ready to go for when Donald Trump begins his speech at 9 p.m. We have the story from NBC News. Ladies and gentlemen, it is confirmed. Trump to announce he will run for president in 2024. This is NBC News reporting. You want to pull that one up? There you go. Trump will announce. Trump has continued to falsely assert that he won the 2020 election, but that he was denied office by rampant fraud. I'm going to say this right away. If Donald Trump launches his 2024 campaign announcement off of 2022 complaints about fraud, I think he's going to spiral, crash, and burn. I know a lot of people have reached out to me and said, Tim, if Trump doesn't address this stuff, it won't get resolved. And that may be. But I think that it is too esoteric and it is confusing for younger voters. I think it is Trump's revenge, Trump's retribution. Trump 2020 is not the message we need. I think Trump needs to come out and say, Biden screwed you over and you all know it. Let me fix it.
Yeah, I mean, the American people are going through a lot of problems right now, especially financially, especially when it comes to our foreign policy, especially when it comes to having a leader that can't even read his own notes at the G20 and has to go take a nap and not meet with the foreign delegations that are meeting at this prestigious dinner. Not prestigious, but you know what I mean here. If he's going to be smart here, he's going to be talking about America's problems, how he could solve it, the future, how his presidency would look like, how he would be different than he was before. But if he does focus on the past, I do think he's going to be losing a lot of people. The Independent is reporting that he's trying to convince Ivanka and Jared to join him on this announcement. So it's going to be interesting to see who stands behind him, who's there. Candace Owens made some very interesting statements a couple of days ago saying that Trump now has someone around him that's trying to push away the populist base, trying to push away Candace herself away from Donald Trump. So it's going to be interesting who's there, what he's going to be saying, and essentially what are going to be his plans hopefully that he's going to be talking about and not talking about the past.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he's going to come out and complain about his feelings about what happened to him in the election and the processes and everything, he needs to display a solution immediately. Like, he needs to come out and say, this will help us prevent this from happening again. These free software systems, for instance, voting online on a blockchain, for instance, things that are transparent, voting online on like 9 different blockchains so they can all be referenced. But I have a feeling he's going to come out and complain and not offer any solutions and just get the angry people behind him again like he did last time.
And if he's really smart, he's going to be talking about ballot harvesting. He's going to be talking about mail-in ballots and also talking about a plan to deal with all of that along with big tech social media censorship, which stands in the way of Republicans ever winning any kind of political office.
Well, look, I mean, people, I think the biggest mistake that people on the other side of the election integrity issue have made is whether they believe the assertions or not, they have totally ignored the concerns that people have, right? Regardless of whether the root is true or not, what they've done is, instead of saying, look, I get you have concerns, and this voting issue is sort of the cornerstone of a constitutional republic, and so we need to do everything we can to shore this up, right? We go back to the DEF CON report from 2019 where they had Voting Village and were able to hack all those machines, right? But no one ever addressed the concerns.
DEF CON, the hacker convention.
Right, the hacker convention, right? So they showed that electronic voting machines are susceptible. And so instead of addressing those issues and saying, okay, look, we get it. Every machine in the voter village got hacked. What they did was they decided to marginalize and essentially tell people, look, if you have any concerns about this, you're just a whack job conspiracy theorist. And so, is that a running issue for Trump? I don't think so. It's always got to be about, for most people, about the economy. Well, but it has those issues do have to be addressed.
It is one. I think what we saw in the midterms, Republicans tried really hard for the most part to focus on what the Democrats were doing wrong and things they didn't like or things they wanted to get rid of. CRT in schools was a big issue, probably because people saw Youngkin succeed. But if you're going after the fraud narrative, you are not explaining to people what you want to do other than we were done wrong and we want the system to correct that injustice. And if you're coming out and just saying, hey, we're going to shore up our energy policy, we're going to lower, interest rates or whatever, we're going to make the economy better, then you're ignoring another big problem. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Ballot harvesting is a major issue. Republicans thought they could target political and cultural issues and now get them a victory without realizing the ballot harvesting operation is intense. The ballot harvesting, not fraud. There is some fraudulent ballot harvesting, but in 39 states, they're allowed to do it. I believe 13 states have no restrictions whatsoever. And we've even heard some officials say that you can harvest as many votes as you want so long as that person signs off that you are designated to do so. And so that is a major disadvantage. If Republicans aren't tackling that and focusing on either building a ballot harvesting operation like Democrats have, then they're going to lose. If you campaign on that, people are going to say, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. So it's difficult. I understand that.
You know what Republicans need is a vote by drone campaign where you designate a drone as your harvester. It comes to your house, picks it up, because no one has the time to drive for 6 hours a day from giant farm to giant farm. We just need drones doing it.
Well, look, we could talk about the election integrity issues, and that's obviously a big concern down in Texas. I mean, we're all over that. We're still dealing right now in Harris County, largest county in Texas, most populous county in Texas, dealing with just an absolute abortion of an election day, right? I mean, we've been joking and calling it East Maricopa County. So, I mean, it's been horrible. But if we're talking about issues that are going to motivate voters, I mean, I just look at what's motivated our base, right? What has led the Texit issue to become the issue for 66% of likely voters, right? If Texit was on the ballot tomorrow, 66% of likely voters in Texas would vote in favor, and the reasons are pretty clear. Number one, they believe the federal government is too big, too bloated, federal overreach, right? Too intrusive in their lives. And it's the border and immigration. For 15 years, the border and immigration together as an issue have polled as the number one concern for Texas voters. When we see the same number of illegal immigrants cross the border from Mexico into Texas every month, that's higher than the number of Allied troops that landed on the beaches of Normandy at D-Day, that is massive. And it goes unresolved and unaddressed. And so If you're going to have, look, if Donald Trump wanted to make some fans tonight, he would come out and say, I'm running for president, and what I'm going to do, my number one issue is to put it on the ballot for every state to determine whether they want to stay in the union or not.
Oh, jeez. I thought you were going to.
I would love to see that. That sounds great.
Headcanon.
I thought you were going to say he was going to come out and say, build the wall.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe between, it was funny. I was interviewed by the New York Times one time. They said, do you think that the United States ought to put troops on the river? And we said, absolutely. Let's put them all along the Red River because we're tired of the snowbirds coming in the winter. Geography lesson, the Red River's between us and Oklahoma, so that's another story.
Oh, I get it.
I think it's also
That one went over our heads.
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I think it's also fair to ask: is Donald Trump going to be successful here? Is he going to win? Because he's facing off against Biden, who's weak. But again, is he going to deal with the mail-in ballot harvesting? Is he going to be attacked by the establishment? Is the DOJ still going to be going after him? The Washington Post is reporting right now that the DOJ is saying that if Trump runs, this is not going to stop the Justice Department criminal probe of Donald Trump. So if the Justice Department goes after him, I see that actually lifting him up and actually helping him, especially when it comes to the popularity. And if he's running against a Nikki Haley, a Mike Pompeo, a Mike Pence, all the goblins of the DC swamp that he helped enable, then I see something that's going to be successful here. If he runs against Ron DeSantis, it's going to be a tough battle. It's not going to be an easy one.
What about Carrie Lake?
But it's not going to be a tough battle necessarily. The way I look at it is Ron DeSantis and Trump in a primary will be the best possible thing for Republicans and whatever the more liberty-minded faction is, because Trump will have to find a way to contend with DeSantis's popularity and success policy-wise, and DeSantis will have to find a way to overcome Donald Trump's gravitas, his imposing figure, his quick wit. That primary is going to make both of them very, very good, and whoever can't win it doesn't deserve to win it. If Trump goes in there and just crushes DeSantis and policy becomes completely irrelevant, then it deserves to. If you can't convince people to vote on the merits, then you don't deserve to be the nominee. So, but if DeSantis comes in and says, bing, bang, boom, here's what I've done, and it resonates with people and Trump is unable to counter that, then Trump doesn't deserve to take it.
What about Carrie Lake? You guys think she's going to run for president?
No.
Because she just, Katie Hobbs, who was overseeing the election in Arizona, won the election. So now Carrie Lake lost the election.
Yeah, but she's not in office. She's not in politics.
She's famous, though, and she's well-liked.
I don't think it would be good if she ran.
Just not good for the
people
Republican
are going to be
Well, no,
saying
she's
if she
never
can't,
held office.
Yeah, people are going to say if she can't win a state election, what makes her think that she could win a national
Trump
one?
wasn't a politician before he won.
Good point.
but Trump
was massively famous, though. Carrie's just
it's
kind of
true.
got on board.
It's true, but I guess we can see. I just don't like the idea of these people who lose elections just trying to up their election game,
the
like
ante.
like Beto or Abrams. Like
I was
Carrie
about to say that sounds very familiar to me.
I think if Carrie Lake, if she should fight 110%, I believe that everybody should be protesting peacefully in Arizona. There's 1.2 million people voted for. All 1.2 million should be out in the streets, especially in Maricopa, just because the busted up voting machines disenfranchised people, and you don't even know who left the lines, who went home because of the failure of the voting process, and that benefits Democrats. So I will stress this: the difference between fraud and impropriety. So fraud is initially the narrative was voting machines stealing votes, people forging ballots and things like that. Now it seems like people are saying the fraud narrative is ballot harvesting and voting machines breaking. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a different conversation. If the voting machines are just garbage and can't adequately handle the amount of people that are coming in to vote, then Democrats are winning because they do the early mail-in votes. If the issue is ballot harvesting and it's legal in these states, then Democrats are winning because they have found a way to just get the numbers. And it's a horrifying prospect. It doesn't matter anymore to win the hearts and minds of the people. It matters to convince someone who's not paying attention to sign their name to a piece of paper, and then you leave and they don't even know what it was about.
I was looking at
that's scary.
Katie Hobbs' Wikipedia page, and one of the last sentences in the 2022 gubernatorial election section is that Hobbs decided not to debate the Republican nominee Carrie Lake to deny Lake a platform to spread election denialism. You deny a candidate a chance to speak. Is that not a form of election denialism?
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing, but what a weird sentence. Yeah, she denied Carrie an opportunity because she was going to deny something.
Let me tell you.
Real quick, what was what was Katie Hobbs' role in the Arizona election exactly? Because I've heard she's in charge of it. I just want to be
Yes.
clear. What was her role?
Secretary of State.
She was the Secretary of State of her own election.
Yeah.
She didn't recuse herself.
Yes, so was Brian Kemp.
I just got to
and it doesn't excuse
it's a
either
big
of
deal.
them. It doesn't excuse either of them. But I'm seeing so many people come out and being like, "I can't believe something like this would happen," and it's like, yeah, and Brian Kemp did the same
But
thing.
how is it legal?
And,
That's
and
what
we
I'm
said
wondering.
it shouldn't have happened then, and it shouldn't be happening now. But the system is just ridiculous, stupid, broken system. So it's annoyingly frustrating. And no, you're right. Maybe it should not be allowed. It shouldn't have been allowed back then. It shouldn't be allowed now.
I mean, leave it to the global superpower to screw up the fact that you should write on a piece of paper and put it in a box and then count how many pieces of paper in that box have the same thing written on it, right? I mean, we've decided to computerize our elections. We've made them all electronic, completely ignoring the fact that you have all the technical experts who come out and say anything, all of these machines are susceptible, right? And so here we are, we've overcomplicated a system that, we could trace back to, Athens, Greece, centuries ago, 2,000 years ago plus 3,000 years. We're looking at the Athenians perfected this sort of system where they would even write on a shard of pottery, right? But here we are, we've overcomplicated it, and allegedly in the world's only superpower still standing, where this is supposed to be the benchmark of civilization, right? Democratic civilization. We figured out a way to screw it up, or at least the bureaucrats have.
Here's what I want to see. I want to see Donald Trump come out tonight and say, gas prices are too high. We need energy independence. Our border is porous and worse than it's ever been. I want him to come out and say, we need to bring jobs back. We need to bring factories back. We need to stop this military expansion. The war in Ukraine is not America's business. That's what I want. I want to hear MAGA. I want to hear Donald Trump talk about how he wants to make this country great. I want to hear him tell a story about a nice family sitting out in their backyard in a rocking chair. Dad's reading the paper. Mom's coming out with some fresh sun tea. Kids are playing. And he's talking about how the working class is going to have a better chance at succeeding in this country. If it is an issue with the ballot harvesting, all that stuff, that's a matter for their strategy to win, but not to win the hearts and minds of the people. To win the election, I just kind of feel like if they come out and they don't talk about issues, they're offering up nothing of substance. You know what I mean?
Look, you're talking salesmanship and salesmanship versus statesmanship, right?
Yeah.
And let's be honest. He could get up there and he could paint the prettiest of pictures about what he would intend to do, right? The whole MAGA thing, right? Make America great again. But let's be honest at what the situation is. The federal government is terminally broken, right? 4 years where he was going to drain the swamp. The swamp is deeper than it's ever been, right? Our lives are still controlled under 180,000 pages of federal laws, rules, and regulations administered by 440 separate agencies and 2.5 million unelected federal bureaucrats, right? The federal debt has gone up to the point now that our children's children are still going to be paying on it, right? So nothing got done. Our tax money is being taken, paid to overpaid civil servants. Most of them make more than the governor of our state, right? Where that money in turn is funneled back into Democratic coffers that are out there now openly pushing neo-Marxist theory and philosophy as public policy. So he can promise whatever he wants to promise, but at the end of the day, the federal system, anything connected to it, is going to be tainted just like it is, and we might as well be tethered to the Titanic headed to the bottom of the North Atlantic.
I'm curious if he's going to announce, $2,000 checks for everyone, just like he did
10 grand
last time.
No,
$10,000.
hold on. In all seriousness, I would accept if Donald Trump comes out and says, I am going to be running on one platform. Everyone gets $15,000 cash.
Oh, so he joined the Yang Gang.
Well, Joe Biden came out and offered 10 grand to everybody in their pocket unconstitutionally, and they vote for it.
No, no.
So there you go. If the system is going to crumble and fall, then Trump may as well just come out and be like, sure, I'll play.
I just
He'll
need
double the speed on
15,
the printing
20,
press.
30, why
I
not
need
50?
one word from Trump. Graphene. We're going to build the greatest graphene production facility on earth. The best. We are the best. All his
Everyone's
friends know.
confused.
I've been
Like, what's he
obsessively
talking
telling his friends when they come here to be on our show, tell Donald Trump, graphene, this is it. This is the future. We become a graphene industrialist nation. Do it, Donald. This is your chance.
And
This is it, baby.
They leave thinking like, that was cool. That guy's kind of weird.
Yeah, you got to be a little more specific.
We also have to remember when Donald Trump was running in 2016, he was promising a lot of things. He was talking about ending the Federal Reserve. He was hinting at 9/11 conspiracies. He was hitting, out of the park when it came to going at the media one-on-one. Is he going to be that same Donald Trump from 2016? We're going to see. But I think a lot of people want solutions, not complaining. And if he's going to be complaining, he's going to lose a lot of his base. As a lot of people are already saying, hey, there's no reason I should be supporting this because this is not going to help anyone. He's just going to indebt us and rob us of our money anyway.
Let's talk about the other possibility, I guess, and that's peaceful divorce. Peaceful divorce.
I like that. Let's get chill.
You mentioned Donald Trump, it would be good if he came out and announced he was going to put on the ballot secession for every state or something to that effect.
Yeah, look, here's the thing that I think everyone needs to kind of understand is that this idea of independence or a shuffling of the political structure has been in the wind for a long time. Look, I personally been working on the Texas independence issue since August 24th, 1996, right? So I've been at this a long time. But what's amazing is since this undercurrent has been happening, it's not just Texas, right? Alaska has had an independence party since the 80s. The whole Joe Vogler story is pretty impressive. It should be a movie. But there's, burgeoning independence movements in California, in New Hampshire, in Vermont, a lot of other states. I mean, we're hearing talk of Flex It now. But the bottom line here is simply this. The movement toward the shuffling of the political structure and outright independence is not new, and it's not rare, and it's not unpopular. I was sharing a statistic with the guys earlier that most people don't realize. There was a poll, a Survey USA poll that dropped in the summer that showed that support for Texas was at 66% of likely voters in Texas. Right?
Wow.
And that's not an aberration, right? So you roll it back to 2009, the Research 2000 poll, it was about 30-some-odd%. I like to joke that when we founded the TNM in 2005, it was polling in single digits.
What is TNM?
It's our organization, the Texas Nationalist Movement. But, we've always polled higher than the approval rating of the United States Congress, which polls somewhere right above or below leprosy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not particularly popular. You'll get that later, the leprosy thing, right? But anyway, the whole thing is that this has been a steady progression of support, a lot of it driven by a bunch of on-the-ground work that we've done since 2005, but obviously a lot of it driven by the deteriorating situation with the federal government, where more and more people feel disconnected. So the 66% was not an aberration. It was just
There was a poll done of 5 different regions in the U.S. They asked them whether they supported their region seceding from the Union.
Yeah.
And I normalized, so you have 5 different region pollings, Democrat, Republican, Independent. I normalized for state population and the numbers. And when you normalize, 37.2% of people in the United States want their region to secede.
Well,
Some more so than others, right? In the Midwest, independence, the plurality wants secession. In the South, it's the majority with it's Republicans wanting secession. In California, in the West Coast, it's Democrats that want secession. So,
yeah. Well, look, I mean, that's the polling on this issue. The mainstream media, anytime they decide to dig off into the polling on this issue, they do something weird like that, where let's look at it by region instead of by state, right? Which is not the way that it works. It doesn't work by region. Every state, as a political entity, would have the ability to put it on the ballot and withdraw, right? So 2014, during the time of the Scottish independence referendum, that Reuters Ipsos poll did exactly the same thing. And so they lumped Texas in with the Southwest, which was New Mexico and Arizona. And obviously New Mexico is not a state that's going to want to break away, so they did that to skew the numbers. But we got a hold of the crosstabs and the raw data and did the same thing. That was the first time we discovered that Texas was polling at 54% Republican, half of independent voters, and 35% of Democrats, right? That was the bombshell, but instead it was 35% of people in the Southwest region want their state to leave, right? It's garbage.
So what do you do with that number?
Well, pretty much what we do, right? So there is a process, right? There is a process, and what I tell people is, look, if you look overseas, right, we've got plenty of examples of independence referenda around the world, and that's ultimately where this is headed, is to a vote. When people think of Texas, they need to think about what they saw in Scotland in 2014, Brexit a couple of years later, we're going to put it on the ballot. And last legislative session in Texas, we had the Texas Independence Referendum Act introduced by State Representative Kyle Biederman that would have done just that. It would have allowed the voters to go to the polls and look down at a ballot and answer the question, should the state of Texas reassert its status as an independent nation? That ultimately is what people need to do, is they need to be given the choice. A good bit of the reason that we've been able to build support is because of how we've been talking about this issue to the people. This is what we ask them. Imagine right now if Texas or your state was already a self-governing independent nation, right? You had control over your own border and immigration policy, your own military, your own currency and monetary policy. You had your own military, you had your own passports, your own embassies, you had your own Olympic team. You had everything that 200 other self-governing independent nations around the world has, okay? Fix that in your mind and then ask yourself this. Instead of talking about withdrawing from the Union, imagine if you were talking about whether or not your state, your self-governing independent nation state, should join the Union. Knowing everything you know about the federal government right now, would you vote to join?
Hell no.
Well, it depends on if
Well, then let me be the
Absolutely
first to
not.
welcome you to the team.
if we were being invaded by like cartels, like literally like a 10,000 man cartel army with maybe they had if they were dropping bombs on cities, like we'd have no choice but to petition the United States to join the Union at that point for defense.
Well, okay. Let's just be clear that any state that would be a self-governing independent nation already would already have control of its national defense. Down here, let's be honest. You're talking about the cartels, and people ask that question about Texas all the time. We've got Boy Scout troops that are more well armed than the cartels. Okay, in Texas. I mean, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I think you get the point. These issues that people bring up about that sort of safety and security. Understand that 200 other countries around the world have already figured this out, right? They already defend themselves from attack. As a matter of fact, in the particular instance, as I talked about the border earlier, part of the biggest challenge that we have in Texas is the fact that our border is left unchecked. Right? When you have sheriffs in Texas saying that the federal government has neglected securing the border to such a point that the cartels are effectively in control of the Rio Grande River, guess what? We're already under attack, and the federal government is doing nothing about it.
Is it preventing Texas from defending itself?
Well, I think Texas could take that step. I mean, I've been very critical of Governor Greg Abbott. I know Chad was on the show not too long ago, and Chad and I've talked about this quite a bit. It's been a pretty constant refrain is we want the governor to call an invasion, to declare an invasion, which he allegedly did today, right? But he said that he was invoking that invasion clause under Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, but he gave a laundry list of things that Texas was in fact already doing, right? Escorting illegal immigrants back to the border, which is effectively catch and release, right? Because they go immediately back into federal custody, who then runs them through the pipeline and ships them all over the United States, gives them asylum, all those sorts of things. Increase the gunboats down on the Rio Grande River. We already have those, right? So he gave a big laundry.
Why doesn't he arrest the people who are trafficking them?
Well,
that includes purported people masquerading as law enforcement.
Well, they do that. I mean, to a certain extent, but not to the number. So you have to go back to when you hear Greg Abbott talking about Operation Lone Star. We kind of refer to it as Operation Half Measure, right? Because Operation Lone Star started back when I think Governor Perry started working on that issue, and he decided, well, I'm going to increase Department of Public Safety patrols 35, up to 30 miles in from the border, right? So it wasn't border protection. It was, we're going to run traffic patrols to see if maybe we can possibly catch some of these smugglers, right? And so Abbott's program has effectively been to expand on that program, but it's not very different at all. You'll hear him say that he's put National Guard down on the border, and in fact he has. But
so if they catch some illegal immigrants and then bring them to the border, and then a couple of guys show up claiming they're with the federal government and bring them back in, what does Texas do? Say, oh, okay, all right.
Well, so they get turned over into federal custody.
Who's they?
The illegal immigrants. So when they are interdicted by the state, they get taken back to the border, which immediately puts them back into federal custody. The federal government will put them in detention centers, or in some cases put them up in hotels that they rent with taxpayer money. Then those illegal immigrants are processed out of that facility, handed over effectively to NGOs who take taxpayer money, give them funds, and then ship them around the country. So generally, you'll see that pipeline happen where they are transferred from those detention facilities to the airports in Houston or San Antonio. They are lined up. They're given cash payments in most instances of your tax money funneled through these NGOs like Catholic Charities. They're given it in an envelope. The coyotes come out of line. They take their cut. They get on the plane and get flown out to God only knows where, right? And then the coyote pops out of line and goes back and runs the whole gamut again. And so the federal government, when we're critical about the federal government on the border, this is not just neglect, right? This is intentional, what's happening down there on the border. They are facilitating this. And our criticism for Governor Abbott has been he has not taken strong enough measures. Look, our organization has advocated for years and years and years. What needs to happen is, rather than calling up the National Guard, Texas has a 3-branch military called the Texas Military Department. 2 branches of it are National Guard, but 1 is State Guard. We've advocated that Greg Abbott and the legislature should effectively shift funds from the National Guard units in the Texas Military Department, fully fund, fully militarize the Texas State Guard, and then declare an invasion and have Governor Abbott as the commander-in-chief of the Texas military forces deploy them down as a border protection force. And if the federal government didn't like it, they could go pound sand. And the big fear is, on their part, is that it will cause a constitutional crisis. Well, so what? I don't care about a constitutional crisis. I have a border crisis and an invasion that's happening that any sovereign, self-governing, independent nation could take care of, but we're not allowed to. But that is one of the reasons that people are clamoring to have Texit, because self-governing independent nations get to take care of their borders.
Let me pull up this story from Timcast.com that should really grind your gears. New York City to house migrants in 4-star hotel where rooms cost hundreds per night. How come I don't get a 4-star hotel? What do you know? My taxpayer dollars paying for these people. This is the crazy thing about what's been going on, that we've got this massive breach of the southern border. Seems only to be getting worse. And then even when these people come in and are shipped around the country, these cities are propping them up, putting them up, and giving them the gold star treatment. Meanwhile, you've got Americans suffering under the opioid crisis. You've got unemployment, skyrocketing inflation. But it's the non-citizens who are being given all the privileges and the benefits. Cool. This is why a lot of people, aside from Texit, people are saying peaceful divorce or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, the term that flies around a lot is national divorce, and you see all these maps of people with different counties, and the red should, but that's not how this works, right? The good news is we got about 75 or 80 years of kind of world history to look at to see how this thing goes down. And the thing that I think should motivate people is to understand that this sort of divorce that we're talking about, states withdrawing from the union, relieves a tremendous amount of the pressure, right? I mean, how many articles have you seen recently where people are saying there's another civil war coming, right? Has it already started? But understand that when you allow states to stand up and be self-governing independent nations, they have the ability to say, let California govern California, let Texas govern Texas, let New York govern New York. And we can do like every other self-governing independent nation around the world. We can trade with one another. We can travel between one another. We can agree to defend one another when we have common national defense concerns. We can do the things that honestly the founders and framers probably envisioned for a union of the states much better than having to take a knee to 2.5 million unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Texas was also an independent country for about 10 years after the...
5 years, I think. Was it 5?
We got a solid 9 in.
9 years?
9 years.
Yeah.
9
Really?
years.
Oh,
They were their own country. And again, what New York City's doing is taking tax dollars, probably also from the federal government, and putting people in hotels right outside homeless drug dens, where the average citizen there is, of course, affected by the opioid epidemic that, of course, was engineered by Big Pharma and the regulators. Tim, I'm also seeing what you're seeing. I don't know if you want to talk about it specifically.
Seeing what?
What is happening to Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble's crashing.
But I also wanted to let you know that The Guardian on YouTube is having a live stream of Trump's announcement as well.
The Guardian on YouTube?
The Guardian on YouTube. So I think also if we play their stream, if we get in trouble and they don't, it shows a lot of hypocrisy that they're able to show the live stream and we're not able to show the live stream.
Where? I'm on the Guardian's
Bold
YouTube,
choice
but I
there,
don't see
Cotton.
it.
So hold on, I'm going to find out right now the exact title and the exact channel. It's Guardian News. It's the channel with 2.9 million followers, and it's called Donald Trump expected to announce. Yeah, so that's live right now. And
look at that.
That safeguards us a little bit as Rumble is down. We could watch
the concern here is that Trump's going to say things, and YouTube did this. I think they did to Crystal and Sagar over at Breaking Points. They've done it to RSBN. They've done it to major. I think even like ABC got hit once. I think it was maybe Fox, because you report on what Trump says. Yeah. They shut you down. It's the craziest thing.
Well, YouTube popped us. We did. So last session, we filed the Texas Independence Referendum Act. The committee didn't give it a hearing. Which State Affairs didn't give it a hearing. So we did what was effectively a virtual hearing. We had voters submit videos in the style of testimony, and we ran it. And the whole thing was like 24 hours worth of testimony. And we streamed portions of it on YouTube as we did it. And sure enough, man, we got popped with a community strike or one of those violations.
Yep.
For testimony, like literally testimony of voters, and there was none of that. It wasn't people talking about the voter fraud or anything else.
I will stress this though. I will file a lawsuit in 30 minutes if YouTube does that to us, because we have a contractual agreement, and this is where Alex Berenson actually won with Twitter. There's a contractual agreement that every user has with the platform they use, especially for a show like ours that is a financial contract. That we produce content, revenue is sold by YouTube, the revenue is split. If they breach that contract by suspending our access without us doing anything wrong, then I'm going to hold them personally responsible for the lost revenue, and then demand an immediate reinstatement. And at the very least, the strike lasts for about a week, but I'll pursue it, all the way to the end to get that money back. The point is this: no one here is claiming there's fraud. No one on this show. If Donald Trump makes some statement that violates their rules, it is not us as doing a show and offering commentary. They can play those games all they want, but I'll sue in 2 seconds. Doesn't mean we'll win. But
go get them, Tiger. Well,
that's what we saw. Alex Berenson got suspended from Twitter.
Yeah,
and they successfully sued, saying that the Twitter made an agreement that he would be given notice of anything he did wrong, and they didn't. They just removed him, and they removed him because the White House was pressuring Twitter to do so. Yeah. So he got reinstated.
There's also a very compelling case showing, hey, the Guardian and the corporate media get to do this. Why can't we do this if it's really a violation of their rules and regulations? Why are they allowed to do it and we aren't? And this has been happening throughout so many years on YouTube, specifically allowing the corporate media to play by a different set of rules, while, of course, hurting people that do exactly what they do, showing the same footage, showing the same kind of accounts, making the same kind of arguments, showing the same debates. But if you don't have the connections with, of course, the establishment, if you're not the corporate media, if you're not the approved press, you get punished and dinged by it. How can a judge see something like that and say, yeah, this is accurate, this is totally okay for a multinational corporation to do on the world stage when it comes to a major information highway, when it comes to the public interest, the public good? It's absolutely inexcusable what YouTube has been doing recently, and it deserves to be pushed back on.
I think it also is important if someone on your show starts spouting off and saying things that are violate the site's terms of service, that you push back and explain that that's violating terms of service, and you can't.
But is the Guardian going to do that? Is the Guardian, if Trump says something, is the Guardian going to stop the stream and say Trump was wrong? Are they going to do that?
We will do that. And it's important that we do, because people need to know what the terms of service are, firstly, and why things are happening the way they're happening.
But where do you have reporting and where do you have commentary?
I don't know what this is all about.
What is?
The video's now private.
The Guardian made it. They're watching the show. They're like, oh, they're on to us.
They know.
It's no longer a secret.
Yeah, it's gone. The Guardian
just shut down. The Rumble is back up from what I'm seeing.
But why did the Guardian shut down their stream? Maybe they were like, oh, we're going to get banned.
Yeah.
I'll say this, like, what YouTube has done with the censorship rules has created this ridiculous media system that if we host an interview with someone and that individual says bad things, we are held responsible for it. Like, so what? Don't interview anybody ever again?
Right.
How are we going to challenge bad ideas? How can we put really bad ideas in check? We can't. And when you have so much censorship, you not only destroy the narrative, but you essentially try to, of course, have some kind of psychotic mind control by not even explaining the rules clearly. The terms and services are very vague, they're very generalized, and many times people get punished and they're not even told these vague generalized rules, and they have to self-censor themselves, which destroys the discourse and destroys human progression. Human progression is on parallel with free speech. The more you deny free speech, the less humans prosper. And it's ridiculous.
You know, speaking of challenging bad ideas, I want to talk about secession. I'm just kidding. That was a joke, by the way. But
that was nice.
I do want to talk about it because
your deadpan delivery threw me.
Did you like it?
Oh,
I'm,
wow.
I'm actually very concerned about it because it's what kicked off the Civil War. The first American Civil War was a secession movement.
Won't it be great that it'll prevent one this time?
Well, what I'm concerned about is a situation where Texas is like, we're out, we voted, we're done, and the federal government's like, nah, that's our oil. We send it around the country. That's our Gulf. Our Gulf of Mexico access. We want it, and we need that Mexican trade route. So we're taking it back. You can't walk with our property. And then there's just comes to blows. Other states are like, hey, federal government, you can't just go in on a state like that. They're sovereign. Then they join the secessionists movement, something like that again. And how would you avoid something like that?
Well, I think what we're doing is trying to avoid that. I mean, that's why we're following a process. And this is what I tell people. You know, the good news is that when we woke up today, it wasn't the 1800s, right? So post-Civil War, the world kept spinning, things started happening, and the position on this has evolved quite a bit, right? So you look at what the federal government has done, literally since 1945, I'd say, you know, post-World War II. They've sent our grandfathers, grandmothers, fathers, mothers, some of the people probably watching today, our sons and daughters, like including my son, off to fight, protect, bleed, some instances die for the right of self-determination for other people. So, you know, what we're talking about here in this process is effectively the process that we have seen the United States protect around the world, which is you put a question of this importance to the people, you let them debate the issue, and then you let them vote on it, and then you respect the outcome of the vote. Now, that being said, you know, could the federal government react poorly? Sure they could. But, you know, what does that say then ultimately about the federal government, right? What does it say? Because at the moment they begin to start acting like Bashar al-Assad or North Korea or, you know, any of these other folks, I mean, they pretty well just told us exactly why we're doing, they've legitimized our position and why the people of Texas voted that way anyway.
Do you think that Abe Lincoln reacted poorly when he started a war to stop the secession?
Do I think he reacted poorly? Yeah, I believe Abe Lincoln probably reacted poorly. I think that probably could have been handled. But here's the thing. I'm not here to adjudicate the past, right? I'm not here to try to look back and second guess what happened in the 1800s. I'm here to try to look forward to see what Texas can do to prevent what's happening to it right now.
We're about 14 or 15 minutes away from Trump making that announcement, but we were talking about censorship. So I want to pull up this story from the Post-Millennial. Breaking. Elon Musk welcomes Ligma and Johnson back to Twitter. So these are two former employees. They're getting their jobs back. Congratulations to Ligma and Johnson for getting your jobs back. No, I'm just kidding. These guys, they hoaxed the media, walked out of Twitter HQ carrying boxes, and then claimed that they had been fired. The Post-Millennial now reports, in an unexpected, heartwarming move, Elon Musk welcomed back, quote, former employees Ligma and Johnson to Twitter headquarters today. Rahul Ligma and Daniel Johnson are fictitious names used by two pranksters who were able to dupe mainstream media into believing that they were woke Twitter employees who had just been fired. Not everybody was, it wasn't just the mainstream media that fell for it. I of course, did a report on it mentioning they thought that it was a hoax. So turns out it was. But the reason I bring this story up, while we're dealing with the insane rules of YouTube, and the ridiculous policies that are it's impossible to adhere to. I've gotten for a long period I wasn't getting demonetized anymore. As soon as we get into election season, all the videos are demonetized, and it's very, very obvious. Here's what happens. YouTube, my understanding is they use third-party monetization checkers or whatever. They said that my politics talking about like the polls are here and here was dangerous or gratuitous violence. Demonetized. Okay. I then have to contact my rep at Google and say, hey, they're doing it again. And they go, oh, sorry about that. We'll fix it. My response is, no, not sorry about it. We'll fix it. At a certain point, when you have an observable pattern of YouTube's contractors lying to strip ads off the content, you have got a breach of contract. And I shouldn't have to then go to someone at Google and be like, oh, by the way, your guys are lying again.
Yeah. Now all my videos automatically demonetized 24 hours after the videos get all of their hits, then they get remonetized, which of course leaves me with barely any money. My income on YouTube, by the way, went down 1/4 of what it used to be in these key particular times, as my viewership has skyrocketed more than it ever has before, but my income is at its lowest that it has on YouTube. What's going on there? I mean, obviously,
They're playing
it's just
dirty games.
It's just ridiculous. Instagram right now reinstated a warning whenever you sign up to my account. Whenever you try to follow me on Instagram at Luke We Are Change or not, it will tell you, do you sure you want to follow this guy? He spreads a lot of fake news. What kind of fake news am I spreading? I'm spreading memes. And one of our guests just tweeted the photo of this warning telling people not to sign there.
Really? I can't even search for you.
Yeah, Luke We Are Change on Instagram. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me if they banned me to the point where you can't even find me. But there's a photo that I just tweeted on Twitter showing specifically, do not follow this guy. He's spreading this information. I spread memes. That's all I do. Memes that you could interpret in many different ways.
You should sue for defamation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because
This account has repeatedly posted false information that was reviewed by independent fact checkers or went against our community guidelines. I think you should file a lawsuit.
Let's do it.
And say,
if there's a lawyer, let's do this right now. Hit me up.
I know a guy.
Berenson's lawyer.
nuts,
Let's hit up the Berenson's lawyer.
I type Luke.
Let's do it right now.
Luke, we are, and you don't come up, and I'm following you already, and you still don't
right.
come up.
James Lawrence, we had him on the show. Hit him up
Let's
and send a demand letter that they've defamed you. They've
Absolutely.
accused you of something.
Yeah.
that is untrue.
And absolutely untrue, because the things that they got me on are ridiculous. They got me because I showed a picture of all the jets from at the World Economic Forum meeting. It was a legit photo. And they said, no, it's a fake photo because some people are sharing that with another photo that's fake. And I'm like, what? That makes no sense at all. The fact checkers have been wrong time and time again. They are there to stifle any kind of legitimate conversations. They're there to attack comedy. They're there to go after humor. I'm here just to make people laugh. You could interpret memes and pictures in so many different ways. And for them to objectively say, you are bad because you made people laugh, my income and my bottom line is, of course, when people can't find me, when people are told not to follow me, this is the predominant way of me making my income. This is how I make my livelihood. And, let's show a big middle finger to Instagram. Go on at Luke We Are Change and let's fight the algorithms. Let's fight all this censorship and all this bullcrap, because it's more important than ever that our voices are heard, because they're trying to silence us for a very specific reason.
Here's the important thing I'll add. When you get, they say, posted false information or whatever by fact checkers, that's actually not what a lot of it is. Some of it's missing context, which is not false information. Yeah. And if that's the case, if Instagram has flagged your account, Luke, saying you've posted false information that's been reviewed by fact checkers, you should go through your posts, because I know for a fact some of them were just like, this post is missing context. In which case, Facebook or Meta's automatic system assumes if you get flagged, it was for posting false information. That's a huge error. They've issued a statement outside of what the fact checkers actually said. I think you would win that. You send a demand letter and you'd win in 2 seconds.
Absolutely. Let's begin the process right now, because it's just getting ridiculous. I've been dealing with this stuff for over 12 years now, and it's only getting worse and worse and worse. And this is the way.
But this is why I brought up Elon Musk, because actually I think it's starting to get better. Elon Musk is going on Twitter and just laughing at the woke employees that he's firing. And he's ragging on Democrats. He's saying the Democrats won't be investigated for financial crimes. It's just, this is pretty good news. There's some questions about whether or not Elon Musk can pull this off, and Twitter might actually go out of business. We'll see. But hey, I'll take it, right?
Yeah, and this is why I've been so optimistic about Twitter. Again, we should be a little bit critical of Elon Musk, but at the same time, he's promising something that could change the game, that could make the world a better place just by allowing people to talk to each other, just by allowing comedy on the platform. And this is why this whole Ligma Johnson thing, brilliant, smart. It's making people laugh. It's silly. It's ridiculous. It's a pun on something that people should be making jokes about.
There's something interesting too, because I retweeted this. So we have Noah Sanders just super chatted that Quartering reported Elon is offering 10% over YouTube to larger channels. I've not heard that directly, but I know he's tweeted. Someone tweeted that if Elon offered 10% more than YouTube paid to content creators, those creators would move to Twitter. Yes, that is a fact. Elon, if you made a video page for my Twitter profile, I would upload my content there. And if you monetized it, when I post videos on Twitter, I often get more views than I do on YouTube, but there's just kind of no point. For one, my videos are longer and you don't really get anything for doing it. If Elon Musk does create a video monetization function, then it's there.
People are saying that there was a live skip during my rant about censorship as well on the platform, but I don't know. I gotta fact check that as well. But if Elon Musk even does less than 20% of what YouTube is doing, I'm jumping. Because it's an alternative platform that is promising to follow basic guidelines and to just allow speech that is free, that is legal, and that is worth any amount of money. That is worth all the money in the world right now, because if I'm able to just say whatever I want, if I'm not having to self-censor myself, if I'm not having to walk this tight line, if I'm able to be my true authentic self and just speak freely from the top of my mind, that's a gift. Give me less income. Give me half of what YouTube's giving me. I'll be on your platform immediately right now.
Well, look, the same people that are doing this to speech are the same people that do it in economics as well, that love to put their thumb on the scale and pick winners and losers, right? And so, ultimately, what we're saying is let the marketplace of ideas prevail.
Exactly.
If an idea sucks, the people will let you know sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Right?
Stop curating and treating us like small children.
That's it.
Stop telling us what we should be looking at. Stop trying to shove corporate propaganda down our throat. We don't want to watch your bullcrap. We don't want to watch the woke movies, the nonsense, and all this nonsensical idiocy. We don't want any of that. We want legitimate, real, honest conversations, and that's something that we are being denied of. We're being denied the access to laugh at things in order to not make them as serious as they are. We're being denied the ability to find out what's really happening in this world so we can make the right decisions and not be heard over and screwed over by the most powerful people in this world. And we're being getting screwed over more and more by these powerful special interests, by big pharma, and all these other criminals out there that profit off of your ignorance. Society is becoming dumber and more stupid, mainly because of this censorship, and it needs to end, and it needs to end now.
Rumble's crashing.
Yeah,
Too many people want to be there.
or not, it could be a deliberate attack.
Could be that too. If that's
Because now it's like, okay, YouTube's not going to allow this. Rumble is. Let's all go to Rumble and watch this speech. As of course, YouTube is going to be most likely censoring. This is why The Guardian maybe just stopped.
They got
their
it
live
up
feed.
now. We got the live feed.
Is that Jared Kushner
We're
over
about
there?
5 minutes
It
out.
looks like Kushner. About 5 minutes out.
Him being there.
I could tell because we just dropped 10,000 concurrent viewers. Everyone's jumping to go watch.
Hey, keep watching our show, you guys.
Well,
Watch both at the same time. Do whatever you want.
We should lower the volume because it's coming in through the headphones.
YouTube used to have that hardcore say anything you want. Not anything, obviously. We were within the bounds of law always, but just this Wild West, this is like 2006. You would say anything to anybody and they would say it back, and you would have the most deep, intense, painful, enlightening conversations with people about real world issues, about people's feelings, and it created community. It created like a sense of strength. Google was so into it that they bought the company. Like YouTube, this is before Google owned them. And then one of my friends got banned. Warren25 was his screen name, and it was like the first banning on YouTube. And I was erratic about it. There's a video Warren25 smash banned or something where I'm losing my mind about it. And I was concerned since once you start getting corporate conglomeration and that the history has shown that the company will try and take control.
Once you start punishing people for expressing an opinion, you're the bad guy. You're the baddie. Okay, that it's as simple as that. Throughout human history, the people who censor other individuals, they're not the good guys. They're the bad guys.
Man,
Yeah,
I
not
can't.
opinions.
It looks like the Guardian take it down again.
Maybe it's not them.
No, there we go. That's so weird. What's going on with this?
Well, to piggyback off what you were saying, I mean, the thing we have to remember, and there is a certain course of people out there that say, look, we've got, these guys are private companies. They could do whatever.
They're not private.
But they're not. The moment they took $1 of taxpayer money, right, they became a public forum.
Yeah, not just that. The DHS is literally telling them, you're going to ban this person,
Yeah.
this person, this person. They're not going to be allowed to have a voice. They're making fun of Fauci here. That's a parody account. That's not allowed here. We can't be making fun of our politicians. We need to have control of the narrative, because when we do, we have control of the people.
Quite literally, they're not a private company anymore when they go public. They're now a public company.
Yeah.
And maybe we should have different laws and regulations for public social networks.
Well,
Well,
you
I
look at
just
the way
wanna
they
see them
start.
labeled
There's
as
also
state-owned media.
there's also InQtel. The whole thing from the very beginning stinks to high
Hey,
heaven.
a lot of people are saying, Luke, they jumped you. and our viewership jumped back up. When we dropped viewers, I was seeing viewers drop, and I was like, "Oh, it must be because people are jumping over."
Not because the secession guy's on?
No. It went back up, which typically means for those people, the stream stopped working.
Everyone's saying mid-rant, I was cut off.
I bet there's a lot of global madness that right now because Trump's about to say something.
Remember when you were talking about the CIA and you got cut off as well?
Yep. And then we stopped talking about the CIA, and then we got back on, and then we started talking about the CIA again, and they started coming.
Remember, there's feds who are watching the show, and they have their finger on the throttle button.
Maybe, but
they're eating donuts. Like,
remember when I was talking about God, and then you lost control of the machine like a couple weeks ago? You're like, I can't control this thing. What's going on? Like,
what do you mean?
It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like really intensely feeling like emotions about God or something, and you're like, I can't control this machine. I was like, get ready for it. It's going to happen more.
Oh, like the monitors flicker, like some weird thing happened, and then all of a sudden I was like, what's going on?
That was
also
weird.
it's official according to the Federal Election Commission. Trump has officially announced that he's going to be running for 2024. It's official
so excited.
right
It's been
now.
announced.
He has officially filed the paperwork to be president of the United States.
Do you have that on Twitter?
I just I'm tweeting it right now.
I got a text from someone saying Luke's rant got clipped.
Funny. Well, I guess you'll have to do it again.
Oh, isn't it funny though? It's just like at least we can laugh about it.
Yeah. Well, my YouTube channel's We Are Change. That's been getting hit all the time from the very beginning. So again, I think it's more
OG demonetized. Luke was the first demonetized channel.
So I think it's more important than ever to make sure people follow people on their original platforms. I had a members area for about 10 years. I know you have your members area. Mine's just lukeuncensored.com, but it's more important than ever to go on independent websites, support your independent content creator, because if you guys don't do it, there's no other way for us to make a living out here, especially for me, myself, with YouTube automatically demonetizing everything and then monetizing it when no one's watching the videos again. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I think if you Google, you can pull up the FEC filing.
Oh, Trump's.
Maybe not.
So Luke,
I just tweeted it right now.
You tweeted
it at Luke We Are Change. Yep.
when you were saying your stuff was getting demonetized, then a day later it would be. Were you actually like contacting them?
It's now.
Or was it
every day.
automatic?
I have no one to contact. There's no one to contact at YouTube for the majority of creators.
Is there a button
So
that you
every
click?
time I release a video, automatically demonetized, and then you click, review, 24 hours or more, green. It's good to go. But then no one's watching the videos.
Right. The most of the money's made in the first 24 hours.
Exactly. Most of the views are in the first 24 hours. So that's how they get you. That's how they hit you. Again, so signing up to timcast.com, signing up to lukeuncensored.com. This is the way that we need to do this, because there's no other way of supporting content creators, because the old models are gone.
Also, Daniel, what's your website?
Oh, we got it. That's right. Yeah, I got the link. Luke posted the image. I'm going to post the link along with it of Donald Trump's official. I'm tweeting this out. Donald Trump's official FEC filing is now available. Link on Twitter at Timcast, and there it is. Oh,
It's a similar.
Here we go.
feeling of
It's happening. It's coming.
Everyone's got their phones out.
They're singing Les Mis. Great musical. But it's about the French Revolution.
Where's the escalator?
Gentlemen, please welcome the next president and first lady of the United
there we
States
go.
of
That was the
America,
spoiler.
President Donald J. Trump, accompanied by Mrs. Melania Trump.
Here we go. Here. Look how weird it is that all the phones, the images on the phones don't line up with what's in front of them.
There should be a grand entrance. There should be more showmanship here.
So he filed. I tweeted it out. You can. There it is.
Yeah, he is officially announced.
I mean, you don't know. He could be skydiving into the skylight. I mean, we don't know.
Could be a body double.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Don't assume his entrance.
It could burst out of somebody's stomach. You never know.
Alien style. Okay, well, skydiving's off the table.
This song is so cheap. I mean, it was probably cool when it
Republican
came
Party.
out, but it is old.
I like the song.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
like
a
it
great
too.
song.
It's like, yawn.
If there's one song you're gonna come out to, if you're Donald
Les
Trump,
Mis,
this
that's
is
really
it.
weird because that's the French Revolution stuff.
Here he is. He's looking good, huh?
Actually, yeah.
He did look like
lost
he's
a little weight.
getting younger.
The first thing he's gonna say is like, "They stole it from me." No, let's hear it. I'm excited for this, guys. This is gonna be an awesome next couple of years. I'm really excited for this.
He's gonna let the whole song play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how does that work?
We need a WWE introduction here.
Lee Greenwood
I'm
gotta
already-
get paid,
there you
yo.
go.
We don't need to hear the music.
No more.
Lee Greenwood's over there going dollar bills, y'all.
Where's the fireworks?
Come on, Trump, start talking.
It's one thing to be proud of what you've done. If you're just proud that you were born here, it's kind of like gloating.
I disagree.
I don't know.
We're the luckiest people on the face of this earth.
Lucky,
Yeah,
but
man.
why would I
Here we
be
go.
proud?
Here we go. Chip, chip, chip.
Well, thank you very much. And on behalf of Melania, myself, and our entire family,
We're good.
I want to thank you all for being here tonight. It's a very special occasion at a very special place. You and all of those watching are the heart and soul of this incredible movement and the greatest country in the history of the world. It's very simple. There has never been anything like it. This great movement of ours, never been anything like it, and perhaps there will never be anything like it again. There's never been anything to compete with what we have all done. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens, America's comeback starts right now. 2 years ago, when I left office, the United States stood ready for its golden age. Our nation was at the pinnacle of power, prosperity, and prestige, towering above all rivals, vanquishing all enemies, and striding into the future, confident and so strong. In 4 short years, everybody was doing great. Men, women, African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, everybody was thriving like never before. There was never a time like this. We turned the page on decades of globalist sellouts and one-sided trade deals, lifted millions out of poverty, and together we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. When the virus hit our shores, I took decisive action and saved lives and the U.S. economy. And by October of the same year, America was roaring back with the #1 fastest economic recovery ever recorded. How about that? All of the incoming administration, and all they had to do was just sit back and watch. Inflation was non-existent. Our southern border was by far the strongest ever. And because the border was so tight, drugs were coming into our country at the lowest level in many, many years. Importantly, after decades of rising energy costs, the United States had finally attained the impossible dream of American energy independence, which soon would have turned into energy dominance. For the first time in memory, China was reeling and back on its heels. You've never seen that before, because the United States was outdoing them on every single front, and China was paying billions and billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. The farmers know that because they got 28 billion of it. No president had ever sought or received $1 for our country from China until I came along, and we were getting hundreds of billions of dollars. Many people think that because of this, China played a very active role in the 2020 election. Just saying, just saying.
There we go.
Sure, that didn't happen. Instead of jobs and factories leaving America for China, they were, for the first time ever, leaving China for America. Businesses were pouring back because of our historic tax and regulation cuts, the biggest in both categories in history, bigger even than what Ronald Reagan was able to produce, and he produced a lot. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea were in check and respected. They respected the United States, and quite honestly, they respected me. I knew them well. I knew them well. The vicious ISIS caliphate, which no president was able to conquer, was decimated by me and our great warriors in less than 3 weeks, and al-Baghdadi, its founder, was hunted down and killed. North Korea had not launched a single long-range missile since my summit with Chairman Kim Jong-un nearly 3 years before. We developed a relationship, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Very good thing, actually, because look at what's happening today. My opponents made me out to be a warmonger and just a terrible person who would immediately go into war. They said during the 2016 campaign that if he becomes president, there will never be a war within weeks, and we will have wars like you've never seen before. It will happen immediately, and yet I've gone decades without a war, the first president to do it for that long a period.
Hear, hear.
The
The
world
wiggle fingers means I'm
was at
clapping.
peace. America was prospering, and our country was on track for an amazing future because I made big promises to the American people, and unlike other presidents, I kept my promises. I kept them.
I like it so far. This is good. Good stuff.
Thank you very much. Under our leadership, we were a great and glorious nation, something you haven't heard for quite a long period of time. We were a strong nation, and importantly, we were a free nation. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. For millions of Americans, the past 2 years under Joe Biden have been a time of pain, hardship, anxiety, and despair. As we speak, inflation is the highest in over 50 years. Gas prices have reached the highest levels in history and expect them to go much higher now that the strategic national reserves, which I filled up, have been virtually drained in order to keep gasoline prices lower just prior to the election. Joe Biden has intentionally surrendered our energy independence. There is no longer even a thought of dominance, and we are now begging for energy help from foreign nations, many of whom find us detestable. Our southern border has been erased, and our country is being invaded by millions and millions of unknown people, many of whom are entering for a very bad and sinister reason. And you know what that reason is. We will be paying a big price for this invasion into our country for years to come. Hundreds of thousands of pounds of deadly drugs, including very lethal fentanyl, are flooding across the now open and totally porous southern border. The blood-soaked streets of our once great cities are cesspools of violent crimes, which are being watched all over the world as leadership of other countries explain that this is what America and democracy is really all about. How sad. The United States has been embarrassed, humiliated, and weakened for all to see. The disasters in Afghanistan, perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, where we lost lives, left Americans behind, and surrendered $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment anywhere in the world. And Ukraine, which would have never happened if I were your president, are something.
I agree. I don't think the Ukraine thing would have happened if Trump was president.
And even the Democrats admit that. That's something I've seen them admit over and over again. But our enemies are speaking of us with scorn and laughter and derision because of those two events. But there are many more. Even just today, a missile was sent in, probably by Russia, to Poland, 50 miles into Poland.
Yeah.
And people are going absolutely wild and crazy, and they're not happy. They are very, very angry. Now we have a president who falls asleep at global conferences,
Yep.
was held in contempt by the British Parliament over Afghanistan. Thanks to the words of wisdom, he said thank you to the wrong country for inviting him to a major summit on the environment of all things.
How long do you think
Fly
until
for
he
days to get
formally
there, and
announces?
then he calls the country.
Well, since
name
they spoiled it
that
when
was
they
actually
said the
a
next
country on another
president
continent.
when they introduced him.
Oh, that's a good point.
He's leading us to the
They
brink of
basically already
nuclear war,
announced
a
it.
concept unimaginable
spoiler
just
alert.
2 short years ago.
Yeah. I want to
Nuclear
just
word.
stress for everybody who's
Should be
listening
devastating.
that you should probably
Green New Deal.
we
and the
can't just
environment,
play
which they
Trump
say
speaking
may
without
affect us
doing a show
in
ourselves
300
for a
years.
variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Is all
So we
that
can't
is
just
talked about, and yet nuclear weapons, which would
I don't wanna
destroy
interrupt
dead
him,
air.
but-
Right. I mean, he was
even discussed
as
a
Raymond G.
major
Stanley Jr.
threat.
just said,
Can you
Trump's rolling
imagine?
hard 20s. So
They
I'm
say
like,
the
I'm reluctant
ocean
to chime
will
in, but
rise 1/8 of an inch
For us.
over the next
I have
200
questions
to
already if you
300
guys want
years.
to.
But don't
I say
worry
hear 'em
about
out.
nuclear weapons.
Yeah, but we
that can
can't- we
take
can't
out
just play
entire
straight air.
countries with one
You know what I
shot.
mean?
Is it
pretty
true?
low energy
Was the
right
southern
Something
border
is
the
wrong
strongest
with
it's
their
ever been
thinking
under
under
Trump?
Biden
No.
and the
Okay, that was a
radical
lie they said then.
America has been mocked.
The
Derided
discussion
and
about
brought to
building
its
the wall,
knees,
the
perhaps
wall never happened.
like never
right? I mean,
before.
there might be pieces
But
and
we are
parts,
here
but they're all
tonight to
very
declare
small.
that it does not
Here we go,
have
here we
to
go,
be
sorry.
this way. It does not have to be this way.
let's hear it. Surrender in Afghanistan. I was pointing at you, Ian.
2 years ago, we were a great nation, and soon we will be a great nation again.
That's what I wanted to hear.
The decline of America is being forced upon us by Biden and the radical left lunatics running our government right into the ground. This decline is not a fate we must accept.
Agreed.
When given the choice, boldly, clearly, and directly, I believe the American people will overwhelmingly reject the left's platform of national ruin, and they will embrace our platform of national greatness and glory to America. Glory.
He's nailing it. I want to hear that MAGA talk.
Exactly 1 week ago, our citizens voted in the important midterm elections, and despite a ridiculously long and unnecessary period of waiting, far longer, in fact, than any third world country, just a short time ago, the Republicans won back control of the House of Representatives.
Not necessarily, but most likely.
We don't know yet.
Right.
And it was with a great Trump-endorsed candidate, Congressman-elect Kevin
They're one seat away.
Kiley,
Yeah.
who
Yeah,
is a
right.
fantastic person, And I'm very happy it was his vote that did it. But we now won back. This happened just an hour ago. Much criticism is being placed on the fact that the Republican Party should have done better, and frankly, much of this blame is correct. But the citizens of our country have not yet realized the full extent and gravity of the pain our nation is going through, and the total effect of the suffering is just starting to take hold. They don't quite feel it yet, but they will very soon. I have no doubt that by 2024, it will sadly be much worse, and they will see much more clearly what happened and what is happening to our country, and the voting will be much different.
And Fetterman in Senate.
That is true. It's going to get really bad financially in the United States.
Next year is going to get
Absolutely.
really bad.
Especially with energy, especially in Europe, especially internationally.
Are you getting ready?
Yeah.
He sounds tired, man. It's not the
And
same guy.
He sounds more reserved.
Yeah.
I
He's
am
doing
too.
Wispy voice.
No, he's doing it right.
I do want to point out that in the midterms, my endorsement success rate was 232 wins and only 22 losses. You don't hear that from the media.
Yeah, but how much do you bench?
At night and an elegant press place, and I'm not going to use the term fake news media.
This is going to be
As
so
he
much
just said,
fun.
thank you.
So we're going to keep it
Oh
very
man, it's been too
You
too
don't
long.
hear that from the media, but I think you will because people are starting to see what happened. That's some score, and in the primaries was 98.6%, but they were still trying to blame me. And the reason for the
And that's
success
BS.
and that unprecedented success rate is that the Trump administration changed our nation on trade, on securing the border. We're the strongest, safest border ever in the history of our country. On Islamic terrorism, we had practically, just about, not that I can think of, no Islamic attacks, terrorist attacks during the Trump administration. And in fact, we got along very well with the various countries, including coming up with the Abraham Accords. That's a
Big
great
fan.
thing, the Abraham
I
Accords.
bet most of those people don't know what they are, and they're
But
still
it's
curious.
because
No,
of
no, they
cutting
know that.
taxes
This is-
and
these are
cutting
politicos in the
regulations
audience.
at the highest level ever, and on building the greatest economy. Any time in the history of the world, there's never been an economy like we had just 2 years ago. Despite the outcome in the Senate, we cannot lose hope. And we must all work very hard for a gentleman and a great person named Herschel Walker, a fabulous human being who
Fabulous?
loves our country and will be a great
closed captioning
United
is
States
Hershberger.
Senator.
So-
Herschel
You notice how
Walker,
the
get out
captioning comes
and
before he
vote
says it?
For Herschel, and he deserves it.
Oh, I wonder if they're running on a delay.
Will Chamberlain
He was an
says low
incredible
energy, not
athlete. He'll be
2016
an
Trump.
even
That's what I was just
better
saying. He
senator.
sounds
Get out and
tired.
vote for
He's just
Herschel
old.
Walker.
Reserved.
He's old.
We
I mean,
elected
this is
a group
age, man.
of
His voice.
incredibly
Well, it's very
talented America
scripted.
First
He needs more
Ladies,
omega-3s.
stars of
I
our
think this
party
is the
for
demeanor
many
he needed
years
to
to come.
take.
In the popular vote, another thing that's not discussed for the House, we must remember that Republicans
I'm
won
watching. I'm over here
5
watching
million
the chat
more
from our
votes,
folks,
the largest
and,
margin in
I
many, many
I can
years
tell you they're
over
like,
the Democrats. 5 million
with
more votes.
almost
That's
one
a big
voice. They're
thing.
like,
Breaking the
great words,
radical
but one
Democrats'
guy
grip
is
on
not gonna
Congress
fix this.
was crucial.
That's
so in
true.
other words,
It's a ground-up movement.
because of
Yeah,
our
and they
great
just, you know,
congressmen
but
and all of
that's
our great
ultimately the challenge. I
congressmen
mean,
and
that's what
congresswomen.
everyone ran into.
Republicans have
You know,
officially
with his
secured
first
control of the
Nancy
House.
Pelosi
Decision
has
desk
been fired.
reporting.
Isn't that
Let me double check real quick.
One man's not going to solve all of your problems. That's important to understand.
Well, in one office,
That's what I'm worried about, people putting all their faith into the political
Insider
system and politicians.
reports. Decision desk has
told them, I
confirmed the
said,
Republicans
just keep
have
a
the
little bit lower
House.
standard. You're gonna
There
have
we
big
go.
victory. They
Should we
say,
crack the Louis
let's
again?
Win by 40 seats. Let's win by
No.
Maybe.
If you win by 2 seats, be happy. But she's on her way to another country right now. She's
But you know, that's
fired.
You know exactly what the challenge is that.
But
you
we
can't-
always have known
if you
that
have
this was
one
not the
person
end.
in a political
It was
office
only the
that can
beginning of our
fix
fight
the
to rescue
situation
the
as bad
American
as it
dream.
is, right? Then what does
And
that
it's a
tell
word
you?
you don't
That tells you that
use.
that
2
one
words.
office
I don't
has
want
got
to be
way
Joe.
too
It's
much
2
power.
words. American dream.
And that's that I think
That
is
was
the
not
concern.
good what
I mean, we
he did.
all raised
I got-
There are a lot of bad
Obama
things,
because
like
over his executive orders.
going to
right?
Idaho and saying.
I got to throw it to
"Welcome
Luke.
the
Luke
state
said
of
that
Florida."
Trump was
I
going to
love
draw it out and not announce immediately, and he was
In
right.
order
I
to
was
make
wrong.
America great and glorious again,
I thought he'd
am
come out right
tonight
away and say it.
announcing
Not counting the
this is
spoilers.
He's going to build us up. He's going to crescendo.
Technically, they did say it though, but he didn't.
He's going to crescendo it and build up, and then at the end, just like hit it.
And then
which he
play,
usually
like-
does.
Play Tiny Dancer.
I was thinking Survivor.
He was on time, which is also impressive because he's usually always late to his speeches.
What's going on?
I think he just did it, or he's just about to.
You got Tiny Dancer. I'm going to say Eye of the Tiger, what they're going to lead out with. What song?
YMCA.
YMCA. That'd be a good one.
So many incredible friends and family here tonight. It's such a beautiful thing. Some people say, how do you speak before so many people all the time? When there's love in the room, it's really easy, if you want to know the truth. It really is. You ought to try it sometime. Together we will be taking on the most corrupt forces and entrenched interests imaginable. Our country is in a horrible state. We're in great
Yeah, he did
trouble.
just announce it. Weird.
This is not a task for a politician or a conventional
You were busy
candidate.
talking.
This
Sorry,
is a
guys.
task for a great movement
Whoops.
that embodies the courage, confidence, and the spirit of the American people. This is a movement. This is not for any one individual. This is a job.
It's funny, as
for
I was saying,
tens
he was
of
gonna draw it out,
millions
he was
of
literally
proud
saying
people
it.
working together from all across the land and from all walks of life, young and old, black and white, Hispanic and Asian, many of whom we have brought together for the very, very first time. If you look at the numbers, if you look at what's happened with Hispanic, with African American, with Asian, and just look at what's happening. This is a party that has become much bigger, much stronger, much more powerful, can do much more good for our country.
Orange man
This
back.
is a job for
that the headline?
grandmothers and
Is that the
construction
takeaway?
workers,
I just tweeted it.
firefighters,
Okay,
That's it.
builders,
Orange man
teachers,
back.
doctors, and farmers who cannot
I don't know. I didn't see
stay
it.
quiet
Maybe
any
your
longer.
shadow
You
banned.
can't stay quiet any longer. You're angry about what's happening to our country. Our country is being destroyed before your very eyes. It's
Well,
a job
this is
for
going to
every
be
aspiring
interesting.
young person and every
No doubt about
hard-working
that.
parent, for every entrepreneur and underappreciated
You know, I
police
think,
officer who is
you know,
ready
I
to
guess
shout
from our
for
perspective
safety
and
in
our
America.
particular
The
issue,
police are being treated
when he was
so
running
badly.
during
These
the
are great
first
people.
term,
They can
he was
straighten out
he
the
was in
crime. They're the
Scotland, and
ones
they
that know how to do it.
literally
We have to
asked
give
him
them back
about
their respect and
Texas
their
and
dignity.
about whether or not Texas would be leaving. I talk about it in the book, and he said, "No, Texas won't leave because they
This
love
will
me."
not be my campaign. This will
People
be
are
our
pointing out.
campaign
Real
altogether.
Falani says, I mean, it's not like it doesn't say Trump 2024 on his lectern for the entire speech.
Because the only
What did you think
force
was gonna happen
strong
here,
enough
Tim?
to defeat the massive corruption we are up against is you, the American people. It's true. The American people, the greatest people on earth. We love them all.
Well, there you go.
And we love both
He's
sides.
definitely
going to
win the
together.
nomination.
We're going to
There's
unify
no one in the
people.
Republican
I-
Party.
I
has
gotta
a
say it
chance
right
of
now.
stepping up to that guy.
We're all sitting here talking about Ron DeSantis, but I got to admit, when you see Trump get up there, Milo was right. All of a sudden, it's like, I can't imagine DeSantis going up against Trump.
I feel like we got to help him at this point. I don't love politics, but we do need a better country and a better world.
You're saying help Trump?
Yeah, we just need to help ourselves by helping
Ian
our
goes
presidents.
full MAGA.
No,
Trump's
well,
convinced him.
You know, I mean, I'll help Biden too.
I'm not convinced. I want to see them on a debate stage. I want to see them duke it out. I want to see.
Yeah,
I want to
but-
see the best idea win. I want to see the best candidate win.
Like real help, like get here in person, point out his flaws to his face, humiliate him, let him humiliate me, like be a real person kind of help. That's what we need to do.
We can all get together, and we were doing that. That was
Like, not just
happening
blindly
just
support.
prior, because the success was greater than this country has ever had. We were leapfrogging China and leapfrogging everybody
Jada.
else, and everybody wanted a piece of it.
Milo was right.
But just as I promised in 2016, I am your voice. I am your voice.
Man, I am so
The
excited for
Washington
tomorrow.
establishment wants to silence us, but we will not let them do that. What we have built together over the past 6 years is the greatest movement in history because it is not about politics. It's about our love for this great country, America, and we're not going to let it fail. I am running because I believe the world has not yet seen the true glory of what this nation can be. We have not reached that pinnacle, believe it or not. In fact, we can go very far. We're going to have to go far. First, we have to get out of this ditch. And once we're out, you'll see things that nobody imagined for any country. It's called the United States of America, and it's an incredible place. We are Americans, And we do not have to endure what has taken place in Washington, D.C. This is our country, our government, and the corridors of power, they're our corridors. They're not their corridors. These are our corridors. And we are coming to take those corridors back.
We have Bree Sullivan says Ian Les Mis isn't about the French Revolution, it's about the June Rebellion of 1832. He picked that song because of the populist message of freedom.
Look how time flies.
Thank you.
Look how fast it's all going. I will fight like no one has ever
6
fought
years
before. We will defeat the radical left Democrats that are trying to destroy our country from within, and likewise protect us all. We want to protect us. We have to be protected
Who
from
didn't
all of
see
those
this coming?
nations out there that are looking to destroy us from beyond our shores. There are lots of nations that hate us gravely. And that's the problem. When they look at us in disarray like we are right now, when we go to them begging for oil and we have more liquid gold under our feet than they have or any other nation has, and we don't use it because we're going to them, it's crazy what's happening. We can't let it continue. Joe Biden is the face of left-wing failure and Washington corruption. He had a big G20 dinner tonight. Everybody flew over to wherever they flew over, and guess what? He never showed up. They're still looking for him.
He's off book now.
He's off the cuff now.
I used to love that.
Somebody turned the
leaders, they used to
teleprompters
make
off. He's
deals
ready
for
to
our
rock and
country
roll.
like you wouldn't believe. It was one, give me the next one, give me the next one. And we got him to stop taking
If he refers
advantage
to
of our
Fetterman
country.
as Senator
Every
Shrek,
nation
I'm
took
silly.
advantage of our
He's
country.
better
Stealing
off
my
the cuff
material.
than he is when he's scripted.
And that last time he got elected, day one, we went on script, and he was on script the entire time. It was really discerning. I thought he was going to be off book Trump, like just going full Kennedy, but
because we did a great job, but
got back.
manufacturers also. And we did a deal. We restructured our terrible deal with Japan, and I did it with Prime Minister Abe, a great man who unfortunately is so sad. He was a great friend of mine, but a great man, loved his country so much. But we restructured and made it a really terrific deal. And with
Right now,
so many other
there are several
best
NGOs,
of all was what-
Antifa-type groups that are convening and probably began convening yesterday. And they're getting funding, they're gearing up. We're going to see extreme violence like we saw the day Donald Trump was inaugurated. They went around D.C. burning things down, setting fire to vehicles, lighting garbage in the streets, smashing windows. I hope y'all are ready for what this means.
You mean, just so we're clear, you're talking about those mostly peaceful protests,
Mostly
right?
peaceful.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure we're
Yeah.
thinking about the same
Country
thing.
could not take that. And I say that not in laughter. I say that in tears. Our country could not take 4 more years. It can only take so much. It's all very fragile to start off with. It can only take
There
so
you go.
much.
See that line
In
right there?
2020,
It's
I
all very
received the
fragile to
largest
start
number
with.
of votes
It's
of
not
any
strong.
sitting president
It
in
hasn't
history
been, and it's unwinding.
by a lot.
I
And we will
I
do it
think
again,
if you
but with
kind of
even
peel
more
back a lot
votes
of what
this
he has
time.
said, he has effectively reinforced
noted that you-
some of the sentiments that we were talking about earlier.
Voters,
which is
and I
this
believe we
thing is
will
really
set even greater
in a bad
records with this
situation.
crucial vote
Again,
in
I think it probably
2024. The
leads
Hispanic
to the
voter,
skepticism
the
that
Latino
one
voter has
guy,
been
one office
Unbelievable.
can cover
Great
it.
people, very
How deep
entrepreneurial
is the
people.
swamp? 2.5
and they
million
want
unelected
security,
bureaucrats
and
in
everyone
county.
thought when
That's
I
how
did
we
the
get
wall,
rid
I
of 'em.
built the wall, and they thought, oh, that would hurt me with the Hispanic vote. No, it helped me because they understood. They wanted safety. They wanted security. And they understood the border better than anybody else.
All right. So what do you guys say? He's going off the script. He made the announcement. Should we get into Super Chats?
yeah, I don't know when he's lying. That's the problem. It all sounds great, and it makes me feel good, a lot of stuff, but I don't know if he's lying, because like you just said, he said the border was the strongest it's ever been in his presidency.
Yeah.
You're from Texas, specifically said he was lying. It wasn't.
Yeah. Well, okay. So did it improve some? Sure. But was it the strongest ever? Probably not. No. I mean, when you understand the escalation of the border crisis and how long it's gone on, it was not at levels that it is at right now. So granted, if you were to take a snapshot, say, of the last 10 years and say, was it better? Yeah. I mean, across some measures, it was better. He was able to do some razzle-dazzle, invoke Title 42 to immediately deport, right? Instead of catch and release, to immediately deport, which a federal court overturned today, by the way.
I want to say to everybody, many who tuned in specifically to watch the announcement, we're gonna go to Super Chats, but I want to stress, when we started this show, I said I didn't want to hear about the past in the sense of like, oh, it was stolen from me. I wanted to hear about making America great. Trump did exactly that.
Nah, he said, I'm going to make America great, but he didn't.
No, he talked about unemployment. He talked about not starting any wars. Those things I really liked. He talked about how Biden failed with the Afghanistan surrender. I like what he said.
But
He
that was
said, here's what I did that was good. Here's what's happening that's bad. And he didn't come out and say, it was mine, and it was taken from me. That's what I don't want to hear. And he didn't do that. He came out very, very serious with, and you know, like Will Chamberlain mentioned, low energy. But I think that's on purpose. Other people are commenting that Trump at his rallies is the same as he's always been, high energy, you know, feisty and all that stuff. And I've seen some of them, so I agree. I am happy to see him coming out making this announcement on the core things that America needs to do to be better. Like I was saying, that's why I want to see, and we see it. So I'm happy.
He's still not done though, so we're going to see what else he says. I'm going to watch the speech just to get a full understanding of it. But it could go either way.
We'll come back to it. We'll keep it rolling.
And just plain common sense. It's common sense. In 2 years, the Biden administration has destroyed the U.S. economy.
Talking
There it
about
is.
the other
Destroyed it.
people, blah, blah,
With
blah.
victory, we will again build the greatest economy ever.
Platitude.
It will take place quickly. We will build the greatest economy
But he
ever.
didn't.
Zero detail.
But he did.
No, he was at the
And if
helm
you
when we were
remember,
inflating it the
I did
fastest
it
it's ever been
twice. I
inflated.
did
He
it
spent a lot of money and
before
borrowed
COVID,
a lot
and
of
then
money.
handed off
And indebted this
something
country
where the
a lot.
stock market was higher than just prior to COVID coming in. And we did it twice, and we will do it again, but this time we'll do it bigger, stronger, better than anybody can even imagine.
Let's see it.
All I need is a design plan.
And one of the beautiful things of the pause, if there is such a thing as a beautiful thing, but one of the important factors of the pause is that we see how bad they've done. So we will be able to do it properly, and it will be much easier. Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period, and it will be a 4-year period. Everybody sees that. It will be much easier for us to do what has to be done.
Behind the scenes, he better go after ballot harvesting, or at least build that apparatus.
If he wants to win,
Right.
yes.
We will immediately tackle inflation and bring down to a level that it was. You know, we were at 0, but actually the best number is 1%. Do you know that? You don't want it really 0. But we were at 0. We actually got it to exactly 1%, the perfect number. One thing every economist agrees, don't have it 0, have it like at 1%. They even say 1 to 2, but I said, let's do 1. And we had it at 1%, and we had it there for a long period of time, and we had the value of
This is
the
gonna be
dollar.
so much
we had
fun.
it so that this country could make a lot of money, and I fought other countries where they devalued their dollar, or they devalued their currency, whether it was the pound or whether it was the yuan or the yen. And I used to fight like cats and dogs with the leaders of other countries because they were stealing from us. When they did that, they had artificial devaluations of their currency. It's a very important thing. I haven't even heard it mentioned in 2 years. That's a very important thing. It's very hard for us to compete when they do that artificially. And they had to pay a big price when they did it. And they never really did it for very long. I said, we're not going to do business with you anymore as a country. And they believed me.
I'm going to read a super chat. Joseph said, super chats can pound sand.
Last, as the Biden administration has done very, very openly and bravely, because I can't imagine saying, let's put America last. I think it takes courage. We will again put America first.
Hear, hear.
Every policy. Thank you very much. We do love our country, isn't it? That's why we're here. I didn't need this. I had a very nice, easy life. This is something I didn't need, and a lot of you people don't need either. But we love our country, and we have to take care of our country. We have to save our country.
Country.
Every policy must be geared toward that which supports the American worker, the American family and businesses, both large and small, and allows our country to compete with other nations on a very level playing field, which we never had until I came along and the Trump administration came along. And now we're losing it. They're moving back into China. They're moving back into these other countries. It's horrible. That means low taxes, low regulations, and fair trade, much of which I've already completed, but now will even greatly enhance. Other countries should pay for the privilege of coming into the American marketplace. They have to pay to come into our country and make all of that money, take it away from us. And thanks to the Trump administration, still the best and the biggest country in the world is what we have. We have the best and the biggest. If you remember, for many years, you can look in your projection books, China was going to take over from us as the largest economy in the world in 2018 or 2019. I said, I don't like that timing. And I was with President Xi, who's now president for life. I call him king. He said, no, I'm not the king. I said, yes, you are the king. You're president for life. It's the same thing. But I said, President, you can't do these things. You can't. Remember, they had China 25. That means China was going to take over virtually the whole world economy by 25. I said, that's not a nice sign. I don't want that sign. They took it down. They took down the whole slogan. Probably will be coming back at some point in the near future. But I found it very insulting. I said, I find that very insulting. On day one, we will end Joe Biden's war on American energy.
Oh, yeah.
And you will see, when that happens, you will see energy costs come down. And because energy is so big and so important, you will see inflation dropping. You will see it come down. It's a thing of beauty. And you wouldn't think it's that complicated. Now, what has been complicated a little bit is what's happened to so many other things. I believe originally started by this energy disaster. We were $1.87 a gallon for gasoline, and now it's hitting $5, $6, $7, and even $8, and it's going to go really bad. The socialist disaster known as the Green New Deal, which
But that's partly because demand was near zero during COVID. But the average, I think, during his presidency was like 230, so it is still really, really good.
So that our country can
way better than
again
it is
breathe
now.
and grow and thrive like it should.
Yeah, gas went negative during COVID.
Right,
if you remember
they
that.
were paying to give it away. That's crazy. The per barrel.
Very much hurting our country. Germany tried it. Germany tried it. They were up for about a year. Remember, I sent to Angela. Remember Angela? Do you remember Angela? Nobody's remembering her now. Angela Merkel. I sent her a white flag of surrender. She said, "But why? Do you send this to me, Donald?" I said, Angela, I sent it to you because this is a flag of surrender. You are getting 78% of your energy from Russia. And when that happens, history has proven that it's not good for Germany. Just take a look over the last 150 years. It hasn't been good. What I didn't know would take place so fast. And Germany closed, as you know, all of its coal-powered plants and its nuclear plants. It closed everything. And now they're building coal plants. And they're building them fast. And China's building a coal plant every week. Every week they open up another. And then they talk about all of the things that they do environmentally. They are watching us die with the Green New Deal, with our windmills and with our solar that doesn't have the power to fire up our great factories and our great plants. They are watching us die, and they're laughing as it happens. Remember,
CNN cut off Trump's audio and is just doing commentary now?
National security, and that's what it is. We need economic security.
The energy crisis is
That is
deliberate,
why
and he
we
is
will
right
launch an all-out campaign to eliminate America's dependence on China.
I mean,
we will
Biden
bring our
Kamala
supply
marched,
chains,
all the
which
way
are a
across the continent,
disaster right
promising
now.
to
You
break
can't
the
get
back of the
anything,
energy
and
industry
good
in
luck
Texas.
getting a
I mean,
turkey for Thanksgiving. Number
Look at
one,
this.
you
Look
won't
at
get
this.
it, and if you
Let
do,
me
you're
let
gonna
me
pay
let me
3
show
to
you guys
4
this.
times more than you paid
I want to
last
show you some
year.
of the media reactions. This is
But
getting
we will
good.
bring
Getting
our
good.
supply chains and
Look at this one.
manufacturing base back home, as we were strongly doing during the Trump administration, and we will systematically bring back wealth, health, and success to the American middle class and to America itself.
It says Donald Trump, who tried to overthrow the result of the 2020 presidential election and inspired a deadly riot at the Capitol in a desperate attempt to keep himself in power, has filed to run for president again. Seethe.
We're also hearing Fox cut out his audio and is also doing commentary over
Foxes.
it. Yeah, I heard
whole
Fox,
event.
yeah.
I thought Fox was just playing the speech.
I feel very guilty. I don't want that to happen.
Everyone's
Every
watching
worker
this
and
right
family
now.
struggling
I know,
to
this is amazing.
survive in the Biden economy with inflation destroying your family and your life, this campaign will be for you. Help is on the way. Joe Biden has abolished America's borders. We are going to restore and secure America's borders just like we had them before, best ever. We built the wall, and now we will add to it. Now, we built the wall, we completed the wall, and then we said, let's do more, and we did a lot more. And as we were doing it, we had an election that came up. And when they came in, they had 3 more weeks to complete the additions to the wall, which would have been great. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. And that's when I realized that they actually want to have this disaster known as open borders. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Reddit
But
Libertarian
one of the reasons we had
posted this
so much success
from the Washington
at the
Post.
border
Trump,
was
who
because
has
of the fact
president
that
fomented an insurrection, says he's
things.
running
We got
again.
Mexico to give us free of charge 28,000 soldiers. That
Brighten your
helps.
evening with all the journalists
And,
freaking
President
out.
of Mexico is a great gentleman, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Socialist,
lie.
but
Watching
that's
those
okay.
guys
Can't have
bleed
everything.
out of every orifice
but
in
he's a
their
great
head
man and
doesn't
a
break
great
my
friend of
heart.
mine. But 28,000 soldiers while we were building the wall, and then when the wall was finished, that's how we set all these records.
freaking
We
out.
have
The
records
corporate
that
media is
nobody
like,
can
this is horrible. This is the
even
democracy.
compete with right
Yes,
now.
he's back. Yes, I have a job. Yes, I finally have something to
10 million
do.
people coming in, not 3 or 4 million people. They're pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are
Yeah,
and where
they're,
they come from. We have no idea what's happening
It's
to our
interesting
country.
because I'm
We're
watching.
being poisoned.
I'm watching a lot
Within
of the
moments of
checking
my
back and forth
inauguration,
because I'm
catch and
obviously
release
watching
will
to see
be gone
how
forever.
folks in Texas
Remain
are
in
dealing
Mexico.
with this.
MSNBC cut it out. They're not even showing any of it.
Remain
What
in
a
Mexico,
surprise.
which was so important. Everybody came in here. They
Oh, well,
remained here.
you
and
know,
they never
honestly,
left.
if you think
couldn't
about it,
get 'em, you couldn't
MSNBC
find
would
'em.
probably
I
show
had
it
a
on
policy,
one screen
remain in
and then
Mexico.
show
And if you think
just
it was
a
easy for
rolling
me to
footage
get
of the
the
January
president of
6th
Mexico
thing
to
of the
agree
Capitol
to
on the
that,
other
it
side of the
wasn't.
screen. That
But we
would
got it.
be their
And
typical
they
MO. So,
terminated
maybe
it.
the
Can
fact
you
they're not
believe?
showing you
So
at
now
all
they
is a
come
bit
in
of an
here, they
improvement.
stay, and we have no idea where they are. They get lost. And it's very dangerous for our country. And again, I'll say, we're going to pay a big price someday for what
He's
they're
not
doing.
wrong. Quick
We will
announcement,
begin
though.
the
Biden
process
said that
of
it's
safely
unlikely that
removing
missile that hit
illegal
Poland was Russian.
alien
Yeah, the
criminals
Polish
that have
president
been
is also saying
unlawfully
similar things.
allowed into our country. We have no choice. We have no choice. And in
Yeah,
restoring
Fox
border
cut comment-
security,
cut the
we will
commentary.
stop the flow of deadly drugs and horrible
You know why
human
they do that, though?
trafficking, which both have been
They're
set
looking at their
upon us
real-time
like
numbers. And they're like,
never
okay,
before.
people
The
are
human
leaving. Let's start
trafficking,
talking or
you think of
something.
it as an ancient
Maybe.
thing. It's not ancient. Because of the internet, human trafficking is worse than it's ever been in history.
And there you go.
And we
Human
stop them at the
trafficking is
southern
worse.
border, which is the number
one
one
of the
port
biggest
Like-
byproducts
all
of
over the
border
world. The
crisis.
southern
Like
border.
clockwork,
So much
all
comes
of
through
these
the
woke
southern
media outlets
border.
are just
number one port. We stop them,
unloading
and now
on Trump.
it's at levels
Vice
that
News.
are many,
Trump
many,
spent
many
years
times what it
undercutting
was
our
just 2 years
institutions,
ago.
staging an attempted
Biden
coup to
and
remain
the
in
radical
office.
left had let loose on
Again,
this total
who didn't see
breakdown
that
of law and
coming?
order.
That
It
they
was
would
a
lose their minds.
total
It'd be all about
breakdown of
the coup,
law
the
and
insurrection,
order. I will
January.
restore
Oh,
public
no.
safety in American
One journal said,
cities
why
and other
not
communities
have
that need our
run
help.
limits?
And if they don't want our help, we're going to insist.
They're so
Because
mad.
Stacey Abrams needs a
Democrats,
chance.
absolutely
These
losing
are
it.
all Democrats.
This is amazing.
The governors and mayors are supposed to ask for the help, and they would never ask for the help. And yet people are being shot and killed at random like nobody's ever seen before. And we sent in the National Guard in Minneapolis and in other places. In Seattle, we went and we were getting ready to go, and they took over part of the city. And the governors, the Democrats don't want to ever ask to do anything because
how long?
they don't want to
Just-
shake things up. In the meantime, the cities
'cause I
are
don't
rotting.
remember. His
And
original
they are
announcement
indeed
from his
cesspools
first,
of
from his
blood.
first time.
It was short.
So we're
But
going to
really,
go help
that's
them
what I
even
was
if they
thinking,
don't
is
want
really
the help.
short. I
We
mean,
will
obviously
give our
much shorter
police
than
back
this.
their
It was
authority,
like,
resources,
escalator,
power, legal
I'm
protection,
doing the
and
thing,
we will
this
give
is
them
when I'm
back
doing the
their
thing,
respect.
and then I'm
They're
out.
great people.
And,
And I will immediately launch a
Here we
no-holds-barred
go.
national campaign to dismantle the gangs and clean out the nests of organized street crime.
There we go.
He's going to have to deal with the CIA if he wants
know,
to
the
deal with
worst-
the fentanyl and drugs.
Yep.
The worst criminals, the worst gangs are MS-13. And
Oof.
under the Barack Hussein Obama administration, they were unable to take them out because their countries where they came from wouldn't take them. And I learned about that in my first day, I actually say. but I learned about it, and I said, which countries? And it was Honduras and Guatemala. It was El Salvador, some others. And I said, how much do we pay them? Sir, you pay them $750 million a year. That's a lot of money. I said, all right, stop payment. We're not paying them anymore because they wouldn't accept them. They would put planes on the runway. So when our plane would come out with these gang members from
we got
MS-13,
journalist Emily Bell, a well-crafted tweet. The Washington Post wrote, the twice impeached former President Donald Trump, 76, who refused to concede the 2020 election and is a subject of multiple criminal investigations, is running again in 2024, increasing the likelihood of a potential rematch with Biden. Amazing.
And I got to know all of the presidents and prime ministers. I got to know them all. And I said, all right, stop payment of the $750 million a year. They won't take them. And you could not get anybody back in because they sent them out. They didn't just come out. They sent them out. They don't want the bad ones. They want to keep their good ones. They don't want the bad ones. These are gang members that will kill, and they like using knives because a knife is more painful than a gun. You've read the stories.
So how do you think they're going to twist what he's saying? They're going to say he's racist. He accused people of being animals again.
And so we went along, and I said, stop payment of the $750 million.
You know,
and I get a call the next morning from the presidents.
They won't ever use the term fire up the base like they have in the past.
Sir,
from
there
now
seems to
on,
be a
because of
misunderstanding.
January 6th, it's going to be incite.
Is there anything we can do? Yeah, you're not taking your MS-13 gang members back that you sent to us.
Accuse it of racist dog whistles like they did before, right? I mean, it's call out of MS-13.
The caravans, thousands and thousands of people. And in those caravans, you have some rough
that's what they're going to do. They're going to.
I said, you're not taking them back.
This is the same. It's going to be like a dog returning to its vomit. This is playing out all over.
Is there anything we can do?
I got a tweet from you, Adrienne Curry.
Glad to take them back, sir.
I retweeted that one.
I still didn't give them the 750, but that's
pretty smart.
That's a good one.
Pretty accurate
news.
And by the way, now Biden wants to give them $4 billion. They were happy with 750, and now they want to give them $4 billion. Somebody someday is going to explain that one to me. It actually makes you rage with anger when you hear that. They wanted 750 so badly, and now they're getting $4 billion. We will wage war upon the cartels and stop the fentanyl and deadly drugs from killing 200,000 Americans per year. And I will ask Congress for legislation ensuring that drug dealers and human traffickers, these are terrible, terrible, horrible people,
the CIA,
who are responsible for death, carnage, and crime all over our country. Every drug dealer during his or her life on average will kill 500 people with the drugs they sell, not to mention the destruction of families. But we're going to be asking everyone who sells drugs, gets caught selling drugs, to receive the death penalty for their heinous acts.
That is insanity, because not every drug is the same.
It's
just like the Philippines.
Yep.
He's doing it. This is a bad policy.
We don't need any more blue ribbon committees. We don't need. I don't like to say this, and I don't even know if the American public.
I wonder where he
is
gets
ready for
numbers
it.
on that. Like why he thinks it's a good idea.
Please don't say that, sir. That's not nice. They kill 500 people each on average. And if you don't do this, in China, when I was with President Xi, I said, President, do you have a drug problem? No, we don't. He looked at me like I didn't know what I was doing. He said, no, we don't have a drug. How come you don't have a drug problem? He said, quick trial. What is a quick trial? I sort of knew. What is a quick trial? That's where if you get caught dealing drugs, you have an immediate and quick trial, and by the end of the day, you're executed.
Nope.
We don't want to be like China. Can we please not be like totalitarian China?
So literally in his announcement, he's like, I'm going to crib a policy off the communist Chinese.
And I had him stopping it.
Well, all I could say
it's authoritarian.
Pass.
It needs to be called out and criticized.
Again, we were stopping it. That was way down that number, but they send it in. But they don't have a drug problem.
Why would he believe him? Of
Countries,
course they have a drug problem.
Has no drug problem. No drug. You ask them.
You got to end the war on drugs.
You ask Xi Jinping, and he'll tell you for all the China.
Stop the CIA from shipping in the drugs, and stop the war on drugs, and then we would have less harm. We wouldn't have all these problems. But no, we got to be like totalitarian China. That's crazy.
And nobody even cares. They can do whatever they want to do and become rich. It's a disgrace. So if you want to get rid of that and also bring down your level of crime, probably 75 or 80%, That's the only answer. No more blue ribbon. I refuse to create them anymore. They were just a joke. It was New York people wanting to be on a committee for publicity reasons. No, no more blue ribbon committees. That's the only way you're going to solve the problem. And I hope politicians are listening because they should do it quickly. Joe Biden has also proven that he is committed to indoctrinating our children, even using the Department of Justice against parents who object. It's a terrible thing. It's so sad what's happening. When I'm in the White House, our schools will cease pushing critical race theory as they were.
This is why Elon wanted to buy Twitter.
Radical
Because he knew
sentence.
Trump made it worth a lot of money.
And
This is
gender
true. Twitter almost
insanity.
went under before Trump started
Or if they
running for
do
president.
that, they will lose all federal funding, but we'll get them to
It's interesting he mentions critical race theory.
Yeah.
Because
And I will
what
be
we
the
know
president
is that
who
they
finally
just changed the
fixes
definition of it, call it
education in
something
America.
else.
We were doing
Most of
great.
the legislation at state level
We
doesn't
were
address it,
doing-
and
we
of
were
course the federal
starting to
government,
really get
outside
it
of
right.
the Department of
We will
Education
not
and the
let
federal money
men,
that they
as
hand
an
out,
example,
with the strings
participate
attached, has
in
almost
women's
no say
sports.
in
Is
the
that okay?
curriculum when it comes to CRT.
No men.
That's not a
No
that's not a
men.
particularly grand promise. Other than what he could say is, let's get the federal government out of education, and that would fix things.
Yep.
Right. That would be something.
My people
And the
tell me,
Department of
"Sir,
Education."
That's politically incorrect to say. I said, that's okay. I'll say it anyway, if you don't mind. We've had tremendous problems, and you know, it's very unfair to women, just very, very unfair. We will defend the rights of parents, and we will defend the family as the center of American life.
There we go. That's what I said, right? I want him to hit the guy sitting with the newspaper
But
and the
who
mom's
would
got
think,
iced tea. Come on.
Standing up
Make
here
America great again.
10 years ago,
So he should have
15
got to
years
that
ago,
much earlier in the
that
speech, probably before he
politician,
started
and I
saying,
don't like
"Look,
to think
I'm
of
using the
myself as a
communist Chinese as a
politician, but I
model."
guess that's what I am. I hate that thought. But that a politician would be up saying, we will defend parental rights. Of course you're going to defend it. Who would think that we even have to mention this? Who would think it even should be a subject to be talked about? We have to defend parental rights. Can you believe this? As commander-in-chief, I will get Biden's radical left
Jeb Bush tweeted, "What a
ideology out of our
low-energy speech
military,"
by
and
Donald.
I did. And in the
man.
first day, they put it
Jeb.
back. They signed an executive
Boy,
order.
that's
and
like
they put
Richard
it back.
Simmons
It
calling
was
you a
gone.
crappy dresser.
We will
Yeah.
abolish
You know?
every Biden COVID mandate and rehire every patriot who was fired from our military with an apology and full back pay.
I don't know. China has zero COVID, so you should
I
probably
just want,
follow their model, Donald.
I want y'all to understand. Twitter is back, and Donald Trump is running. It's going to be a meme magic, meme war like we saw back in 2015, 2016. You're going to be laughing nonstop all day,
And
every
unlike
day. I'm
Biden
ready for this.
possibly getting us into World War III, which can seriously happen, I will keep America out of foolish and unnecessary foreign wars, just as I did for 4 straight years.
Non-interventionist foreign policy. I mean, that's something.
We
people
will
can do.
again have peace through strength. That's all it is. As events overseas have shown, to protect our people from the unthinkable threat of nuclear weapons and hypersonic missiles, the United States must also build a state-of-the-art, next-generation missile defense shield. We need it. The power of these missiles and the power of a word that I refuse to say, nuclear. We have to have it. We need a defense shield, and we have to do it. And we actually have the technology, and we're going to build it. Just as I rebuilt our military, I will get this done. I rebuilt our entire military, which nobody talks about.
More money for the military-industrial complex.
When I
Great.
got there, we had jet fighters that were 48 years
I hope
old.
Jeb runs.
We had bombers that were 60
I hope he does
years
too.
old.
I want Jeb to run.
Where their grandfathers
Was-
flew them
was that-
when they were
Please
new.
clap.
Oh, yeah.
And now the grandchild is
He
flying
should get a
the
shirt
bomber,
made with
but
that
not
on it
anymore.
and make fun of
But
himself.
as I've said before, the
Go ahead and
gravest
point to it
threats to our
randomly
civilization
people
are
in
not
Walmart
from
or whatever.
abroad,
Yeah,
but
that's his-
from within.
That's his shtick.
None is greater than the weaponization
No,
of
Trump
the
wasn't wrong
justice
about
system,
Jeb
the
Bush.
FBI,
I mean,
and
that
the
guy.
DOJ.
That guy is. He
We
elicits
must
the sort of excitement
conduct
usually
a
reserved for
top-to-bottom
colonoscopy or
overhaul
tax
to
audit.
clean out the festering rot and corruption of Washington, D.C.
Remember when Biden said he was going to stop Trump? He would use constitutional legal authority to prevent him from taking power? Yo, it's going to get lit.
Well, let's see. Let's see how that goes out. I'd like to see how that plays out. Because honestly, all they do when they attempt to screw with him that way is they just validate his position and prove that the
People are
federal
pointing out,
government
he
is
said the
weapons.
quick trial execution is a terrible thing, what
And
China
I'm a
was doing.
victim, I will tell you.
That's
I'm a
not what I
victim.
heard,
Think
but I
of
wasn't
it,
listening.
That's not what I heard either.
See, that's
FBI
exactly it.
offered
People are like,
we talked
you
over
were
him.
talking over
to
him.
Christopher Steele, who wrote the fake dossier, if he will lie and say that the fake dossier was true. And he refused to do it, so it had to be really fake. And then they hired somebody, Timchenko, for $200,000 a year to focus on Trump and to get Trump and other things, including the raid of a very beautiful house that sits right here. The raid of Mar-a-Lago, think of it. And I say, why didn't you raid Bush's place? Why didn't you raid Clinton? 32,000 emails. Why didn't you raid Clinton's place? Why didn't you do Obama, who took a lot of things with him? We will dismantle the deep state and restore government by the people.
Full back pay to people kicked out of the military over the vax mandates.
To further drain the swamp, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. It's time.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
definitely been listening to us or people to come on the show.
Term limits for bureaucrats.
And I will ask for a permanent ban on taxpayer funding of campaigns, a lifetime ban on lobbying by former members of Congress. and
Oh,
cabinet.
yeah. There we go.
No, I see what they make. They leave the White House or they leave Congress and they're paid millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. No, you have to have a ban. We want a ban on members of Congress getting rich by trading stocks with insider information.
Yes. Pelosi, you're fired.
Many of our great members agree with that. They actually agree with that. And of course, we will do whatever it takes to bring back honesty, confidence, and trust in our elections. To eliminate cheating, I will immediately demand voter ID, same-day voting,
There we
and
go.
only paper ballots.
There it is.
What would that do?
Only paper ballots.
Stone tablets.
Only paper ballots.
There you go.
It's nonsense.
Nope, that's exactly
You
what
can
needs
just
to
say
happen.
I saw a D when you saw an R. You can lie.
And there's 4 people watching when it
And all
happens.
4 of them can lie.
That's right. All 4 of them can lie, even though they're competing against each other.
It was all done by 10
Well,
o'clock in the evening. No complaints.
They're not really competing. You know?
Yeah, they
You had a winner,
absolutely
you had a
are.
The
loser,
Republicans and the
loser went
Democrats.
home, and
Trump
Are called a
candidates
uniparty for
are
a reason.
not
Never mind
the
that.
same as
Nobody
neocon
was
establishment
happy, but there
Republicans.
was no complaints. And if
Look,
there is a
I'll
complaint, you
say
check
it.
it out.
They're
and
supposed
you
to be
can fix
competing.
it.
Like you-
Paper ballots.
Find out
Paper
what's going
ballots
on.
is
No.
it. That is the
Paper
only
ballots,
secure way right
same-day
now.
voting,
Period.
Yep.
voter ID.
Period.
So
I
simple.
feel like that's
The
like
physical
a
record exists in a box.
And
Unless they destroy it, it's there to
we
check
want
always.
all
Right now, it's like, what do you do? Do you
counted
audit the
by
code?
election
And then who
night.
lets you do it? It's proprietary. A box full of documents is publicly owned. And you and they can go in and say, I want to open the box again.
Who's they though? You can't.
if you
can
can file a lawsuit,
Yeah. I
Yeah, you
look-
shouldn't have to do that. You just click a
They
button.
spend
Look,
all
that
of the
20 that
money for
2019 white
machines
paper
and all of
was
this
was
stuff,
like
and they
it
end
should
up
be the
2
gospel.
weeks later, 3
Everybody
weeks
that's
later,
election
by that
officials
time,
should be
everyone
forced to read
forgot
it
there was
because
even an
literally
election.
they
It's
came out
horrible.
and they said all of these
And this
electronic
doesn't
machines
happen.
can
I
be
said
hacked.
it before.
Every
It doesn't
single
happen in
solitary
third
one of
world
them, and
countries. They
not
do better than
hard
we
to
do.
hack
It's
them,
horrible
but
what's
quite
happening
easy.
with our
And they said,
election
here are the
and
2
election
things:
process.
paper ballots, risk
And I'll
limiting
get that
audits,
job done. That's a very
aka
personal
making
job
sure they're
for
going
me.
through.
he's
the-
talking about
Personal.
fixing the election process.
But this is just the beginning of our national greatness agenda, and that's what we call it, a national greatness
Oh,
agenda.
the
Because
NGA.
our country can be greater than it ever was. Our country was great. Our country's not great anymore. Our country's a laughing stock right now. But our country can be greater than it ever was before, by a lot. There will be more, much more to come in the months ahead. There are so many things we can do. Many of them are not even hard to implement. The journey ahead of us will not be easy. Anyone who truly seeks to take on this rigged and corrupt system will be faced with a storm of fire that only a few could understand, right? I happen to have some children in the front row. They understand. In fact, my one boy, stand up, Eric.
E-Bones.
Does anyone know if Ivanka and Jared are there?
I think he
Yeah,
got more
we
subpoenas
saw him
than
earlier.
any man in the
Remember?
history of
Maybe.
our country.
He was in the middle.
So
Yeah.
unfair.
That was unfortunate.
Al
That was
Capone, you all
unfortunate
heard of
closed
the great
captioning.
gangster? Al Capone got far less. Billy the Kid got almost none.
He was killed,
Jesse
wasn't he?
James, no. Eric
Billy?
Trump got
Yeah,
more
Billy.
subpoenas.
Billy was kid. Billy was
He's a
killed.
PhD in subpoenas. They come from Congress. And I appreciate the job you do and the abuse that you've taken. I really do. And it hasn't been a joyride for our great First Lady either. It hasn't been a joyride. Stand up, honey.
We need to see more accordion hands.
I go home and she says, they do love her. I go home and she says, you look angry and upset. I say, just leave me alone. Hasn't been the easiest thing, but she's been a great First Lady and people love her. We will be resisted by the combined forces of the establishment, the media, the special interests, the globalists, the Marxist radicals, the woke corporations,
Oh,
the
man.
weaponized power of the federal government, the colossal political machines, the tidal wave of dark money, and the most dangerous domestic censorship system ever created by man or woman, the most dangerous system we've ever had. We will be attacked, we will be slandered, we will be persecuted just as I have been. I mean, I have been, but many people in this room have been. But we will not be intimidated. We will persevere. We will stand tall in the storm. We will march forward into the torrent. And we, in the end, will win. Our country will win. We will win. My fellow Americans, we will join together and reverse this staggering American decline, and it is staggering indeed, and we will again restore the spirit of our nation. And then we must build and raise up a legacy that will stand without equal in the entire history of the world. With your help, we will create communities where our children will grow up safe and strong, and a nation where they will grow up free, prosperous, and well. We will reestablish the principles of hard work and merit and end the scourge of homelessness that is plaguing our beleaguered Democrat-run cities. We will heal our divisions and bring our people back together through incredible success. We will defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We will expand the frontiers of human knowledge and extend the horizons of human achievement.
There's a funny meme. It's a flow chart. Should you run for the Republican nomination? Is your name Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump? Yes or no? And if yes, go for it. No, don't embarrass yourself.
He looks like he's finishing up here.
We need everyone involved. We need everyone's help. We need to look out for one another. We need to be friends. And we need every patriot on board. Because this is not just a campaign. This is a quest to save our country. Talking about saving our country.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am asking for your vote. I am asking for your support. And I am asking for your friendship and your prayers this very incredible but dangerous journey. If our movement remains united and confident, then we will shatter the forces of tyranny and we will unleash the glories of liberty for ourselves and for our children and for generations yet to come. America's golden age is just ahead, and together we will make America powerful again.
Mappa.
We will make America wealthy again.
Mawa.
We will make America strong.
Not saying that one.
We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America glorious.
It's like watching
again.
a porn. It's
Come
building.
on, say it. Yeah.
We will make America great again.
Yes.
Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you.
All right, that's it.
Good song.
Orange Man back.
I gotta say, I am
Orange
very
man
critical
back.
of Trump. He did give the plan that I was asking for earlier. He started outlining things, and he talks about a lot of really important things about
Addressing the voting issues, I thought was very good.
and talking about the world at a grand scale, about the military-industrial complex and the. I mean, he didn't talk about Megacorps and BlackRock by name, but this is the stuff he's talking about. I haven't seen another political candidate do that. Maybe Tulsi Gabbard.
I'm excited because the media is losing their minds. And like, I'm kind of resigned to the nonsense. It's a difficult battle. You got to be happy. Elon Musk has got Twitter, which means there's already been reports that people are coming back, that certain accounts that have long been banned have been reinstated. So we will see what happens. If he brings Trump back, great. Either way, we are going to see the memes again. The memes were so hilarious with the Pepe frogs and the meme magic. And it's reinvigorating that old 6 years ago, back in the fray.
It's important that we look at what was it about 58 minutes into the speech when he said that he would. I thought he said he would arrest drug dealers and in one day have them tried and executed. But I could be wrong about that.
People were saying that
over
he commented that he heard China did that, and it's not a good thing.
But he did call for the execution of drug dealers.
Yes, that I disagree with completely. I think I'm anti-death penalty. I'm not for it.
And to take Xi Jinping at his word when he was like, "How do you have no drug problems in China?" Like, what an insane thing to say about your country. We have no drug problems. It's like saying we have no abuse in this country.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we're going to be seeing in the next few weeks and months is going to be an absolute crap show, and I'm all here for it. People in the corporate media are going to be losing their minds. People are going to be just going absolutely crazy. I'm here for all of it. It's going to be a wild ride, and man, who knows what's going to happen. Will Twitter bring Donald Trump back? Will he go back on the platform? That's the next kind of battlefield that people are looking at. And personally, I hope he does come back to Twitter. I think this discourse is going to get wild, and put on your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
I found that Trump is, I don't know what's the right word, not susceptible, but he's open-minded about things. Like if he hears a good idea, he'll start to go with it. And then he'll really go with it if he really believes in it. If he comes, so like graphene, for instance, or free software, two things I'm really passionate about involving the United States with being at the forefront of. I think he could get on board.
Edward super chatted, Trump cast. Ian is a dirty hippie, even though I love him.
That is not a lie. But I did shower today.
So let's read it. The Nuked Idea says, Nuked, incredibly important info. If Trump loses the nomination to DeSantis, he may run as a third party splitting the vote. That happened in 1912 with Roosevelt, Taft, and Wilson. Look where that got us. Ross Perot also split the vote and helped Clinton. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know for sure.
I could see that happening.
I agree.
Do they have a
I could
sore loser
absolutely
law
see
on the
that
federal
happening.
level? I mean, I know in Texas they have a sore loser law. It says, look, if you get bounced out in the primaries, you can't go and run as an independent in the generals, right?
Is that true?
Yeah. So we had like a situation we had down there is we had a guy named Mark Gollaby. Okay, he ran for comptroller, I believe it is. He lost in the primaries, but he filed to run as an independent with a write-in candidacy for the generals for governor. Right. Yeah. So that happened. So, there was a lot of pressure for people when Don Huffines lost in the primaries and Chad, they're like, hey, once you guys run write-in candidates for file as an independent, you can't do that. You got a sore loser law. It says if you get bounced out in the primaries, you can't file to run as an independent in the generals.
Wow. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's an interesting thought.
It is interesting.
I think right now, I don't know how Trump implements a paper ballot. I don't know how Trump reforms elections. I'm glad he's talking about it, because if they're not thinking about this, they lose no matter what. At the very least, they should be gearing up for the practical battle of ballot harvesting, legal, lawful, get out the vote operations, getting low information and low propensity voters to vote, then do what DeSantis did, start cleaning things up, fixing the system, and stopping this ridiculous low information voter system.
But we can't kid ourselves. The Republicans don't have a lot of institutional power to change things. Ron DeSantis,
that's why I'm saying they need to win first, and so get that ballot harvesting machine.
How are
up and
they?
running.
What are they going to win between now and 2024? That's the question.
In 2024, so right now what they need to do is get out the vote operations, door knocking campaigns, ballot harvesting operations where it's legal. Then when they win in Congress, at the state level, in the Senate, and the federal government, and they get it all in 2024, they start issuing the hard reforms saying, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. We're done playing these games.
Well, look, I don't want to let this skate by, because I think it would be a crime if we gloss this over. If he's talking about, all of those election reforms, literally things that we agree with, right? The paper ballots, all of those things that he said he would do with elections. For that to happen from the office of the president, essentially says that he is going to do the thing that we all castigated Biden for, which is when Biden and AOC and the rest of them wanted to federalize the election system, we all went absolutely, bat crap crazy. And so for him to carry out the policy he just suggested, he is going to have to literally do what we all criticize the Democrats for wanting to do, which is federalize those elections.
The next president could just come in and undo what he did.
Exactly.
People are saying, I said something. I don't know what you mean. I said ridiculous. That's all I said. I didn't say anything else. I said the ridiculous voting system. That's all.
Of course. I don't remember. You know what he didn't mention is vaccines. He glossed over the word.
No, that's not true.
He didn't say the word, did he?
He said that people who lost their jobs would be reinstated with an apology and back pay.
That's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
He kind of right off the gate was like, and because of me, we saved so many lives during COVID. And you're like, what is he saying? Because of you, what? Because you rushed the vaccine out?
Yeah,
like,
look,
what are you saying right now? No one clapped.
I'm not going to hop on that bandwagon. I'm not going to hop on that bandwagon
His
because
administration
the
put that into
lockdowns
place.
were wrong. They sure did.
His administration made that ruling.
They empowered
I'm going to
Fauci.
undo what I did. Come on.
They gave Bill Gates a seat at the table, right? I mean, all of those lockdowns all trickled down from the federal side of this, and so I don't think he can skate by his culpability.
Bill Gates was dictating policy and telling Trump what to do, and Trump listened and followed his policy.
And however you feel about the COVID vaccines, right? Whatever you feel about those, understand that how you feel about them is all a direct result of Operation Warp Speed, which happened under the Trump administration. So, that's a conversation you can have all day long about whether or not his policies are going to be effective. But remember, it's all at the federal level. Essentially what they're saying is we're going to do these things and we're going to do them. Hopefully you like them, but that power stays in place for the other team to be able to do it if you don't like it.
Here's a good one. Leland Taylor says Trump should have ended his announcement with Elon, here's my $8.
There you go. Snap. Or just showed like $8. Like, here you go, Elon. I got something for you, Elon.
I'm back, baby.
He had Elon as an advisor at one point early on,
Yeah,
and then Elon was like, I'm not working with that guy.
Yeah.
He's impossible.
Well, Elon was pushing for more global warming policies, which is also very interesting and something to keep an eye out because he wanted more of those policies for that, and allegedly Trump wasn't playing ball. Which
I really liked that Trump said he was going to, which is crazy, declare war on the cartels. Like he was saying MI6 is their biggest enemy. That's like Kennedy style going after the mob.
Here's what we do. Voter ID, no brainer. Paper ballots, of course. Same day voting, absolutely. No early voting, no mail-in voting, but election day is a holiday.
Mm-hmm. How will Democrats give up all the power and the
won't.
way that they established this game for themselves? I don't see them changing it in any time. And I see them holding on to this current position.
Yes.
as best
You
as they can.
misunderstand. I'm not saying Democrats, please give up power. I'm saying this is a policy position he's running on, no different from him saying, I will lower taxes. He can't right now, without being in office, lower taxes. He needs to win first. The election system needs to be cleaned and fixed so that we stop having Democrats exploit stupid people for easy votes, and that this country returns to people who care about it. And then it becomes better for everyone across the board, and we can work to fix these problems. That means right now, Republicans need to start forming organizations and dumping tens of millions of dollars into get out the vote and legal ballot harvesting operations. And then when they win, they can pass all the laws they want and clean the system up, fixing it.
But Daniel,
and
you
Ian,
made a
just
good
really
point.
quickly, it wasn't MI6, it was MS-13.
Oh my gosh! I got to be careful,
MI6
man.
is the
MI6
British
is the British intelligence.
Yeah,
Although
British
his
intelligence.
visual,
Everybody
that's a
looked
much
at me.
better story all of a sudden.
MI6, I love you.
As soon as he said MI6, I'm like, wait,
Why is your
what?
name so similar to the cartel name? What is it?
MS-13.
It's MS-13.
MI6.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, you got to diversify because if I'm getting confused in public, that's not.
There's
good.
probably some
They're not going
crossover.
to change
I guess I gotta
the name
blame
of their-
myself.
They're not going to change the name of their national security
Okay,
apparatus
let's-
because you made a mistake.
We'll get it clear. Trump is not going to declare war on MI6, but he indicated he wanted to declare war on the cartels, MS-13 being one of them.
Guys, you know what? Look,
It's like a woke
all of
Bond
this-
book, man.
all of this, who knows what's going to happen? Trump might slip on a banana peel or something, whatever.
He
All I
might
know
get
is-
indicted, and if he does,
Right.
this is only going to help him. This is the paradigm that people need to understand here. The federal government and the corporate media will go after him, which will allow him to have more popularity. So this is the conundrum that we're dealing with, which I think people should be questioning.
That I'm just saying, if all that happens with Trump is that he did this today, watching the media seethe is worth it.
Well, how do you feel about what Daniel
You
was
got
saying about
DeSantis.
the
The meltdown's
federalization?
gonna be fun to watch.
Like the federalization of voting laws. If Trump went in and was like, I'm going to make sure that everyone has to do paper ballot, isn't that up to the states?
Yes, and that's why I'm saying state level. It's going to be I'm not saying Trump should go in as the executive and be like, I hereby decree. I'm saying Republicans need to win, clean up this system. The fact that Trump is talking about it means they understand why they're losing. It's a good thing. I don't like when Democrats tried passing that bill that would have nationalized voting laws. Very, very bad. Insane.
Interesting note about that is when Ted Cruz was asked about, he was in College Station, when he was asked about the Texas issue, he listed federalization of the elections as one of his red lines that would cause him. He says, look, I get it. I'm not there yet. But here are some red line issues, and he cited federalization of the elections, elimination of the Electoral College was another. But he cited that as one of the triggers for him to support, come out and support Texas. He obviously supports our right to, as do many people. But I think this election is a real interesting flex point for people. You know, if you can't trust that your vote counts, then
Will you
where is
vote
your
even?
faith? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think look at voter turnout. I mean, I know in Texas during the midterms, voter turnout was pretty doggone abysmal. I think it was 60 some odd % of people just didn't even vote.
Yeah, a lot of independents didn't vote. A lot of people who aren't involved in politics didn't vote. It was around 100 million people that did. This country is made up of about 330 million. Some of them children, obviously, and can't vote, but still a majority of people didn't.
I love it. That was cute. That's like when he was explaining red pill to me earlier.
I think my assessment right now, the economy's bad. It was good under Trump. It was not perfect, but it was better than it was.
True.
We saw really great numbers, but you guys are right. He was spending a lot. There was a lot of money going out. But the point is, how does the average American feel? And they certainly don't feel good about what's happening right now. I'm not convinced that Donald Trump dragged the midterms. I think that's mainstream media BS. Look at how they're responding to him announcing he's running for president. If they really thought he dragged the Republican Party down, they'd be saying Donald Trump, who just dragged the Republicans, risks destroying the Republican Party or something like that. No. They're saying he's an insurrectionist, he's old, he's evil. Here's what happened. Donald Trump won. He got, 90% success in his endorsements. 90, more than that, like 93%. A lot of people are trying to claim that he dragged the party down when it's now announced they've won. They've won the House. Republicans did it. It was a hard-fought battle where the Democrats have been operating under universal mail-in ballot rules, which is ridiculously favorable to them due to urban density and due to, ballot curing and things like that. With Republicans voting in person, voting machines failing, they leave the line. It's very, very difficult for Republicans. Plus, it's harder to go door to door in a rural area than it is an urban area. With that uphill battle, Republicans still got the House. And now I heard today there was a meeting with Fauci and a few other, with Rand Paul and a few others. looking at inquiries into Fauci, the COVID response. So this is a good trajectory. I think Donald Trump, based on today, is on a strong path, and it's looking up. A lot of people on the left are saying, look how low energy and sad he's not going to win. They're nuts. I'm not saying Donald Trump maintains it for the whole time. I'm not saying that he does better than he did in 2020, 74 million votes or whatever. But I'm saying right now, this was the show of force we needed. He did not complain about the election. He made a joke about it. That was funny. But he didn't waste time talking about it. And that's what perturbed me in the past. He mentioned strengthening families. He mentioned fixing voting laws. I dig it. Let's see where this goes. I think Ron DeSantis is going to have a very, very hard time going up against Trump after what we just saw. It was reserved. There was a little bit of humor in there. He made a bunch of good points. Let's see if he can maintain that going into this primary season.
I want to see them on the debate stage.
Is it going to be fun?
I want to see them. I want to see them. I want to see them argue. I want to see them debate ideas. I want to see them go at each other. Let's do this.
I'm so excited. We got the new space that we're getting built right now. It's a massive warehouse like building. It's a big steel building. We're gonna have a big projector with big speakers and a bar, and the new studio is on the second floor overlooking the space. I'm just super excited to have this massive screen playing the debates. Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, both of them going at it. I don't know who else could be on that stage. Who would even bother trying?
Jeb Bush.
I wish.
One and only. We need him.
I would pay
now more than ever.
View commentary by Joe Rogan to see Jeb Bush on that debate.
You know Nikki Haley's going to be there, and Mike Pompeo, probably Mike Pence, and I think all of them are going to get obliterated.
Pence, Trump, that's the ultimate dude, because they got personal beef.
I think DeSantis is going to give him a run for his money.
I don't think DeSantis...
I think he might even take it from Trump, maybe.
I don't think DeSantis should run. I think it's super important that he runs Florida right, no matter what happens. Like he's so quality in that position, and with Trump announcing, like, why would he jab that? Like,
look, it's the Peter principle, man. You know, there's a tendency that we see somebody have success at a certain level, you know, like as governor of a state, someone that we love, you know, now they want to just automatically shove them to an office at that federal level. And we have to realize something is that if you want a politician, you know, somebody who's a public servant, a statesman, if you want that statesman to no longer be a statesman, send them to work on the federal level. Right? I mean, you know, it's like saying, hey, look, we have this person who's a great swimmer, so let's send them over here to swim in the cesspool, and they'll make the cesspool smell better. That's not how this works. I mean, you don't do that, and I think that's, and I agree with you. This is part of the problem is, especially at the state level. You know, we talk about it in Texas all the time. If our politicians at the state level couldn't go any higher, how much better would they govern in the state?
We need to get a countdown, 721 days until 2024 general. So I'd love to get like a digital clock just put up, counting down in the background. Every episode would be hilarious. I'm excited for this.
Let's do it.
Primary season is going to be so much fun. The year after a presidential election is always like a downturn. Everyone's exhausted. They're tired in the political space. And then you get the next year where we're getting ready for the midterms, and it's like, Then finally we had the midterms happen, but now we enter primary season. It is going to be hilarious. Democrats are going to. It's going to look like a sitcom level bad. Then you're going to have Trump and we don't know if DeSantis is going to go for it. DeSantis might actually just say not doing it because it could harm his future prospects, but we don't know. We don't know.
Oh, I was thinking I'd like to talk to Candace again. I haven't talked to her since she was on the show last time. And having just gone through what she went through with Trump, she said that he was really rude to her. She's no longer supporting him. I'm interested to get her perspective on what she thinks about the speech. And she's probably going to give a recap, I guess, if you check out her show, The Candace Owens Show. But I'd just like to hear her personal thoughts.
Her saga was pretty interesting. I mean, she kind of gave Trump a kind of softball question about, the vaccine. Trump gave his answer. She didn't even contest him. And then she even released a video saying, hey, guys, please go easy on Trump. He's a little bit older. There was some fake news by the Daily Beast, and she says that Trump fell for the fake news by the Daily Beast, and that's why Trump was mad at her.
Luke, what day is the election in 2024?
V for Vendetta Day?
It's V for Vendetta Day. November 5th, 2024.
Day,
Guy Fawkes Day is the day. Now, look. Guy Fawkes was a theocrat, and I think I could be wrong, but my understanding is that he wanted to install Christian theocracy in London, and that was the gunpowder plot or whatever. So I read a little bit about it. That this is the guy Fox Mask, like V for Vendetta. But it's come to represent whatever that was. It's come to represent revolution, protest, and specifically with V for Vendetta, the people rising up against the authoritarian establishment. So I'm sure the left is going to come out and argue the exact same thing. We are the resistance. Remember the 5th of November. We must stop the fascist Donald Trump. Yeah. The only problem is Trump's not in power. So that analogy doesn't work as well as the people out of power saying it to challenge the machine.
But that won't prevent them from trying.
No, they'll say it, and they can say whatever they want.
These are the same people who marketed Fetterman as a legitimate guy. So, I mean, they'll do it. They'll try it.
I'm glad that Donald mentioned the deep state. I think he said the words deep state in the speech, because if we're going to talk about the problem that society should be revolting against, it's, like corporate collusion and stuff. Yeah. Democratic and Republican freedom came before corporations existed.
I want to give a shout out to Raymond G. Stanley Jr. because he's the one who's pointed out. He said, Tim, remember the 5th of November, 2024. So shout out for that one.
Dude, Raymond G.
Oh, man, this is going to be fun. I'm excited for this year. I'm just sitting there. I'm thinking about all of the primary Democrat debates they're going to have, the weird campaigning, the mudslinging.
Will they debate?
Each other. They have no choice. Yeah. Who's to say? Will Biden or whoever becomes the nominee? Well, here's the thing. If Biden says he's running, there's no Democrat primary. And that's just the most ridiculous thing ever because Biden ain't there.
No.
Well, he says he's running.
I know.
So
I wonder if the age of debates as we know them is over. I would like to see more of them, two people just talking. But the moderator thing, like saying, I can't talk to you, like if me and you, Tim, are going to debate, we'd be looking at each other, asking each other questions, pointing out when the other person's wrong, theorizing, things like that. The weird debate, they call it a debate, but it's like wait to be called on and answer a question isn't really a debate. No. So maybe we'll see more a different format. Maybe shows like this will start popping up.
Look, I paid my way through college with speech and debate. I got hardware at the house still after all these years. What we have are not debates. We need proper debates where these guys are hammering each other on policy and,
Some would say master.
Yes. More master debaters in office is what I'm looking for.
That's great. Yeah, all right, everybody. So this was a special episode. So what I'm going to say is smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, become a member at timcast.com. We're not going to have a members only segment tonight. Whenever there's like longer extended stuff, it makes it really difficult time-wise to actually do the members only segments. But of course, there's a huge library. Check out the conversation with Dave Rubin. It's interesting. And he's great, by the way. And Milo Yiannopoulos was also very great. And we're going to... What's going on? What is that?
Someone's phone
started talking.
I think that's Luke.
No, it's not mine.
Someone's phone's talking. We're going to start sending out cool little knickknacks and things from the show to people who comment on our members-only content. So watch the show, provide a comment, and then it's not really like how many times you comment. It's just we're going to scroll through, grab a random person, hit you up, and be like, hey, we're going to send you something, from the show as we're clearing off the knickknacks that come through. We got a bunch of really interesting stuff. So become a member at timcast.com. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL on Instagram. Follow us there. We have clips every day. You can follow me personally at Timcast basically everywhere. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Daniel, do you want to shout anything out? You have a book, I hear.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't get to talk too much about it tonight. Thanks, Donald. Appreciate that for your timing. He didn't consult with me, by the way. But, look, we did get a chance to talk a good bit about Texas tonight. And I would encourage anyone who has more questions about it to either get the book. It's called Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. It's been a 4-time bestseller on Amazon. Or I would encourage people to go to our website, texitnow.org, the one that Facebook is putting the kibosh on. We have about the 100 most asked questions about the Texit issue, full detailed answers, the whole 9 yards. And, the good news is there's a place for those people there who, if they go there, they see they understand what we're doing. They can plug into what we're doing as an organization and take Texit from theory into reality. So very excited about that, and thanks for having me.
I just want to point out, I got a message from someone. Apparently, our viewership rivaled Fox News on YouTube.
That's great.
Nice.
Thank you, everybody. I really do appreciate it because we're trying to displace the corporate media, even if it is Fox.
Bravo.
And you got to do them by doing a better job than they do, which of course we strive to do here. I strive to do that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/wearechange. I did a very interesting video about Klaus Schwab taking over the G20, and then I did a more spicy video on lukeuncensored.com. But just check out the video right now. It's a very interesting one, youtube.com/wearechange. See you there.
And my mood actually is elevated after listening to Donald speak like that. I don't agree with him on, there's a lot of things, and I agree with him on some things, but the fact that he's willing to get up there and do it and run for president and say those things is inspiring, because we need more people speaking the truth, or at least speaking their own perception of the truth. We need that now. We need it. So thank you, Donald, for doing that, and everyone else that's involved with it. Thanks. I care. I want to be there. I want to be part of this. What's going on, Kellen?
Ian goes full MAGA.
No, I'm not saying I don't adhere to political parties, but
Okay,
I want
we
to
gotta
support
get-
Brilliant Genius.
We got to get Ian a tie-dye MAGA fleece hoodie.
Hilarious.
Bedazzled with
what
crystals.
we got to do is make one that says "Magic, make America great." Ian Crossland, Magic. Let's
Oh,
make
wow,
them.
look at
It's all in your
We're
hands,
gonna print
Ian.
those and sell them.
And
Get
all in
ready.
your mind.
Yeah.
Tonight, it was great to meet you, Daniel. Tonight was a bunch of fun. Yeah, thanks, guys.
I'm trying to think of a good, how can we make America great and then IC, but not Ian Crossland, you know?
Let's just make a bunch of magic gear and sell it. Make America
Magic?
great, Ian Crossland. Yeah.
No, but we can come up with something funny. That's like a hippie pro-Trump kind of thing, you know? All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Seriously, this has been fantastic. I'm really excited. Tomorrow's going to be spicy. So you know that tomorrow the media is going to lose their ever-loving mind, and we're probably going to have a lot to talk about. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.